Okay, can you hear me now? All right, now I got to mute myself. I forgot to add myself to what do you call it? To the live stream. So I've been talking for about, I don't know, 5 minutes by myself. It's a good thing I'm looking at you type on the chat. Hey, Chloe. Hey, Jai. So I'm talking to myself, and I didn't even realize it. Let me see. Okay, nobody's in the thingamajiggy. Yeah, we were in the Pal Talk. Oh, look, success. So, Chloe walked along. Okay. Anyway, so what I wanted to talk about today is I've been watching a lot of these debates, and I've been involved in the debates. And I was doing some thinking, in the Quran, chapter 7, verse 157, where the Muslims tell us that Allah says that, Muhammad is prophesied in the Torah and the Injeel. And I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. But then I started thinking, Muslims tell us that the Bible is corrupt. Okay, I get that too. But here's the thing. What is the Injeel? I do not know what this Injeel is. All right, nobody's in the StreamYard yet. Okay, so, and you know how Muslims like to go to, the chapter of John 14, John 16. But here's my question to the Muslims. If the Injeel was something that was given to Isa, right, and we know that the Gospel of John was written by John, and John is a man just like you and I, or some of you are ladies, but he's a human being who wrote it down about the life of Jesus last 3 years in his ministry. Why are Muslims going to John? And if the Injeel is gospel, right? It doesn't say gospels, unless Isa was given multiple gospels, which I doubt. Then how do I know which gospel? Hey, Jai, if you want to come onto the stream, just let me know. I just got to keep an eye on the StreamYard. Nope. I invited a few people. If anybody here wants to join in, let me know. So I just wanted to, shoot the breeze. I don't know if you guys have been watching my little small videos. They're actually kind of fun to do. I like the suicide by the Gospel of Barnabas. I thought that was funny. Or when they were making fun of the fact that some Christians said that King David didn't write all the Psalms, and they started having a field day. But it actually turns out King David didn't write all the Psalms. So, I mean, do these people actually? You're shy? I used to be shy, but I guess it's not so bad when you're behind the computer. I mean, nobody can see you. Not like they know where I'm at. They wouldn't want to know where I'm at anyway. But it's just ridiculous. I mean, Deuteronomy. Okay, I can understand them going to Deuteronomy because Deuteronomy is in the Torah. I don't know about Isaiah. I couldn't find Isaiah in the Quran. So where did they get the idea that Muhammad was in Isaiah? When Isaiah is not a prophet, according to the Quran. I searched the Hadith and I couldn't find Isaiah in the Hadiths. So I'm just confused. And Solomon is a book that Muslims have told me for years is a book of porn. Now, why would you want to find Muhammad in a book of porn? I mean, that doesn't make it, if I'm going to find somebody, Allah knows breasts, yes. I mean, he does have 2 right hands, so who knows? Maybe he's got breasts. And according to the Quran, women have breasticles. Women have a sexual fluids that come out from their breastbone. I mean, that is just amazing. Whew. I'm sure glad when I was married that my ex-wife did not squirt me in the eye. I could have been blind today from that sexual discharge from her breasticles. So I think that one of the things that I always strive to tell people is we have to know how to debate the Muslims. I mean, you have to debate them a certain way. And I believe that the way CP goes about it is, and it could be because CP did, I think he has a master's degree in Islamic law. So I think he approaches it like a lawyer. And this is how you have to approach your debates. Hey, you guys familiar with Jay Dyer? I never knew who the guy was until yesterday. And I got to say, I like the man. I watched his debate with a Muslim on Trinity and Tawhid. And he's actually pretty good. I thought he was an atheist. I did not know he was a Christian. One dislike. Hey, listen, I'm doing really bad, Deb, if I have a dislike. I got to have more dislikes than I got to have likes. If I don't have more dislikes than likes, then I'm doing something wrong. I'm not pissing off the Muslims. Okay, and I can't get anybody to debate me. Not even on Pal Talk. All right, nobody's still in the background. Yes, bachelor's degree. Oh, it's a bachelor's degree. Oh, I thought he had a master's degree. I mean, I know he did something with law, and you have to keep them on the topic because they will try to squirm their way into the Bible. Where does Jesus say, I am God and worship me? Well, where does Isa in the Quran say, I'm the Messiah? Oh, look, it's my other favorite character from Game of Thrones. Hey, Dragon, good to see you. God bless you. As always, you two are always on my channel. So I'm just, I'm just amazed. I'm like the logic behind it. If you ever watch these Muslim debates, and I don't know if you guys know, but right after, I think it was 2 Sundays ago, I have to apologize if you were watching that live stream. It got out of hand. I really wanted to have a one-on-one with the guy from, what's it called? Khalil. But he got attacked by 4 other people or 5. So that wasn't right because I hate doing that when I go to Muslim channels and I get ganged up, which is why I don't go there anymore. I prefer the one-on-one. But it got out of hand. Those shows are really not very productive. You can't have 4 people asking questions of one person, Oh, thank you. I'm just a little fish in the pond or in the big sea. I just like doing this. This is actually fun for me. Maybe one day I'll be able to have people donate so I can get some good equipment. And then watch out, man. I'm going to give Adam Seeker and Rob Christian a run for their money. Get their nice introductions. Some good music in the background. Maybe I'll be able to do some green screen or something. But for now, it's just it's something to do with my free time. I would love to get more into debating, but I either can't get Muslims to debate me because they won't, they want to see my pretty face, and I don't, I really wouldn't want to steal their wives. That just wouldn't be fair, Or they just want to do text debates, and I don't do text debates. Same thing happens on Pal Talk. It's Pal Talk. It's not text talk. So anybody have any questions? I was just trying to figure out why do we even bother with the Injeel when Muslims use John? I would just slap them back and say, okay, where does it say in the Quran that Muhammad isn't John? Because that's what I tell Muslims. Where in the Quran does it say Muhammad isn't Isaiah? I think sometimes we waste time just for the hell of it, because it's not that I can't debate Isaiah 42 or Isaiah 29 or Deuteronomy 18. After all, I did debate Nadir Ahmed, and he never came back after Deuteronomy 18. Isaiah 29, that's kind of funny because right there in the chapter, it says it's a vision. So you got to have the right questions. Oh, and here's something that I was talking on. I was talking with some people on Pal Talk. Hey, Galdalia. We were talking about, you guys are familiar with the whole Muhammad in the cave. Let me see. Okay, hold on a second. All right. Hey, brother, what's up?
Not much.
Yeah, okay. Just shooting the breeze here. Just, whatever comes to mind.
Question: why is the sky blue? The sky is not blue, actually. The sky does not have any colors.
I can call you GED, okay. Sometimes I get your name right, and sometimes it's like stuck. It doesn't want to roll off the tongue. So anyway, I was mentioning about the whole Muhammad in the cave deal, right? And you can tell it's a fake story, or it wasn't. What do you call it? There's something mysterious behind it because, and I did a video on this where there is a contradiction in the hadiths. I think there's a contradiction between Bukhari and Muslim as far as how Muhammad met Jibreel. But the one where he's in the cave, right? So Muhammad's in the cave, he's meditating, he's doing his, 30-day fast, and something comes to Muhammad and says, read in the name of your Lord. And Muhammad says, I can't read. And he squeezes the turnips out of Muhammad. And this goes back and forth for 3 times. Notice that Islam is heavily based on the number 3. Okay, I mean, they make fun. Oh, you guys believe in 3 gods, right? Well, everything in the Quran is based off the number 3, right? But the funny thing is, so after all this happens, Muhammad runs home to his wife, to his lovely cougar wife. We really don't know her age. I think it's just a made-up story. So he comes home and he asks to be covered up. Now, my question to Muslims is, typically when an angel comes to you, he introduces himself, right? And if you're afraid, he usually tells you, fear not. We see it over and over in the Bible. And there's a couple of places in the Quran where I think the angel goes to Zechariah and then goes to Mary, right? I don't recall any of them freaking out. I don't recall any of them running home asking to be covered, Hey, you got to admit, I like to add some humor into my dialogues. Hey, you got to admit, I like to add some humor. Oh, what do you got your YouTube on?
Yeah, I'm going to mute it.
I mean, I do like to hear my voice, but, it kind of throws me off. So my question to Muslims is, why didn't this thing in the cave introduce itself to Muhammad? Because when Muhammad comes home, didn't Muhammad tell his wife, hey, honey, I'm sweating buckets. I met Jibreel, but he was a little bit on the rough side. So I don't know if he liked me or not. He squeezed me and he asked me to read, but I can't read. Okay. And how do we find out it's Jibreel? It's from Kadisha's cousin, Waraka. Right? And how does he know he was Jibreel? Was he in a cave? I don't think so. And then you read chapter 96, right? And it just says, read in the name of your Lord. But who is actually saying, read in the name of your Lord? Now, if Muslims tell you that it's Jibreel, well, then they have to prove it to me from the Quran where it says Jibreel. I don't see Jibreel. And if it's Allah, because the Quran is supposed to be the literal, uncreated words of Allah, well, then we got a problem. Allah was into manhandling, and Allah is the one who squeezed Muhammad. So that's a problem. Oh, and here's something else that somebody was talking about. There's a video which is on Kalamology, about how John chapter 14, 15, and 16, and 17, and 18, somehow they mention some books where they say the chapters are out of order. But my understanding is, like the Quran, the Bible manuscripts, they didn't have any chapters, right? There was no John chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. There were no verse numberings, right? It was just a big book, right? Same thing with the Quran. If you look at the early manuscripts, you will not find the name of the surah. You will not find the ayahs, right? Those
But
came much later. And this is the same thing with the Bible. The verses and the chapters came much later. So it's possible that some of the things got a little mixed up. Okay.
but we have a problem with the verse that says read in the name, or the Quran in general, because according to Muslims, the Quran is the speech of Allah, and it's eternal.
Right.
Now, when you ask them, is the Quran eternal? They tell you yes. Is Allah eternal? Yes. So that means Allah and the Quran is one. No. They are two. Okay, fine. So that means you have Allah who's eternal. The Quran is eternal. So you have two eternals that you worship. Isn't that shirk?
I mean, it should be, but nothing is shirk if it applies to them. I do believe it is read, GED, and not recite.
It's read. Iqra.
Yeah.
And it doesn't say a'id, karrir, or rattal. Recite means like hymning. When you hymn, that's called recitation. In Arabic, it's tartil. Okay, so the verse does not say rattal. It does not say a'id or repeat. It says read, iqra. And then they tell you it was revealed. So it is revealed. That means it has been there, covered, and then it was uncovered. So what was it that was uncovered? There has to be something that was uncovered for Muhammad to read from.
Well, I mean, I guess it's whatever book that they're talking about in Isaiah 29:12, where the unlearned was given a book, but the book was sealed, right? And I do not understand. I could have a PhD, right? And you give me a sealed book, I can't read a sealed book, right? Now, when you ask a Muslim, and I have asked them, show me where Muhammad was presented a sealed book, because that's what Isaiah 29 says. But the biggest problem is that God is pissed off at, he gets pissed off at at his children, at the Israelites, and he seals the visions of the prophets like a sealed book. So it's really talking about sealing the vision like a book. It is not talking about a physical book. And if they want to say that 29:12 is about Muhammad, then I want to know who is the prophet in 29:11 that was given the same sealed book and says, I can't read it because it's sealed. I mean, you can't have it both ways. And if they say that and back to what I was saying, if they want to claim that the chapters of John got a little bit mixed up, right? Chapter 18 should have been before. How about I ask them about the Quran? Why is the Quran jumbled up? Why is it the very first revelation that started off this whole Islam thing? Why is it at the end of the book? Why is it all the chapters are messed up? I mean, who writes a book, right? You start off in one chapter. Now I got to go 30 chapters later to find out, okay, it continues 30 chapters later. I would say 40 to 50% of the Quran is repetitive. I mean, it's just the same crap with maybe a few words that are different. Okay, I'll give you a prime example. Chapter 3, right? The Surah Al-Imran. And chapter 19, the chapter of Mary, right? What logical sense would it make for in chapter 3, besides the other mistakes, in chapter 3, you have angels going to Mary. Well, first off, they dropped off and they went to John and told him that he was going to have a son, John the Baptist. And then right off, no warning, no nothing. It jumps to Mary, right? And the angels are talking to Mary and they say, yo, you're going to have a baby. And Mary goes and says, what? I can't have a baby. I haven't been with a man. And the angel says, don't worry about it, man. When God says something, he just has to say be, and there it is. Snap my fingers and you're pregnant. I'm like, cool, okay. But then she calls the angels my Lord. So how did Allah get into the picture? Where did Allah come from? Then we go to chapter 19, which is actually 45 chapters apart. And in chapter 19, what happens? Allah sends his spirit. And what does his spirit tell Mary? Yo, Mary, listen, God really likes you. And he's going to give you a kid. And Mary goes, what? I can't have a kid. I haven't been with a man. Oh, don't worry. Allah's going to blow into your vagina and give you a kid. Now, why did Mary have to be told twice? I mean, did that make sense? I'm pretty sure that there's women here. And if your first doctor told you that you were pregnant, I don't think that you would be, you would be shocked when the next doctor says, oh, by the way, you're pregnant. You would say, yeah, thank you. I know. Okay. And not only that, remember, I think when she's sitting underneath the date tree and supposedly she shakes the date tree and the dates come off. Has anybody ever seen a date tree? I've tried to shake one of those and I can't do it. So how am I supposed to believe that little old Mary, which was probably 5'1", all soaking wet, okay, and then there's a voice that comes from beneath her. Yeah, I mean, it is a miraculous birth. So, but who's sitting underneath Mary? And they say, no. It was somebody in the hill below. That's not what it says. And you and I, we like the word everything, right? But everything doesn't mean everything. Yeah, you see, there's no logic when dealing with Muslims. They invent stuff. They twist stuff.
Sir, Siri.
Oh, hey, don't get Google or Siri involved in this. Ask her who's Muhammad. Isa came out talking and holding the book. Yeah. So GED, well, if he came out holding a book, then where is that book? How come we can't find that book? And didn't that book come from Allah? Right? But Allah says his words are protected. Now, can somebody show me in the Quran where Allah says he's going to protect the Quran? Because I don't see it. Kufrophobia, it doesn't matter if they reorder the Quran in chronological order. The text is still a mess. Oh, yeah, you have problems in between the chapters. I'll give you a prime example. Chapter 7, verses 157. The one that says the unlettered prophet is written or described in the Torah and the Injeel. From verses 103 to verses 160, if I'm not mistaken, it's all the conversation about Moses. How did Muhammad get in the conversation? How did that happen? How did all of a sudden in midstream, Allah did a 180 and he's talking about Muhammad. To read the Quran the first time, all you see is we, and we. Yeah, we, the royal we that wasn't invented until God knows when. Any good debates coming up, Mr. What Do?
Not really. I've been hitting on top of that one that debated the brother Rashid. I sent him a couple of messages, no answer. Oh, you can't hear me. Oh, you can.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Nader Ahmed, I've been posting on his live stream, on his comments, no answer, no response. I go to the EF Dawah, the same thing, man. I hit them all. And Nobody has the guts to say, I'll take it. And if they say, I take it, they come around and change it. Like Kalamajju, whatever his name is. He agreed on having a discussion based on questions and answers on Islam and Quran. And then when he went on, oh, it was about theology, Christianity and Islam. So we'll see. The only one who's asking for me to talk to him now is, what's his name? Yahya. Islam defeater.
He's not talking to me. He doesn't like me. I don't know what I did. All I said was the word crap. You know? No, but that's okay, because even the Muslims at Speaker's Corner don't like him anymore. He's been disowned by his own clan.
Yeah, that's the last time I told him. In one of his comments, I told him, man, if your own disowned you, when you decide to talk about Islam alone without bringing any other books, I'm more open to talk to you. But if you can talk to me about the Bible, so what? You're okay. Say whatever you want to say. What do you want me to answer you? I don't have nothing back to say to you. So feel free. Keep doing. You're doing a good job. I mean, you're talking basically anti-Islam. So what the hell? Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. Kamalaji is probably never going to debate me, especially after what happened in our live discussion. I mean, he did get ganged up, man. You guys were rough on the poor guy.
Well, that's the way to deal with them, man.
I was
over, and you can't give them a slack. If I'm talking to you about apples, talk to me about apples. Don't jump. Oh, let me talk. And okay, fine, talk. Then they start talking about oranges. That doesn't work. We're talking about apples. Stay on apples. You're not going to go somewhere else to divert it to what you want it to be.
I mean, that's true, but I was more concerned about the fact that it's kind of hard when it's one person and there's 4 or 5 people asking questions of that person.
And he brought the other guy who knows Arabic, and he doesn't know nothing.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I've seen this last couple of YouTube film videos. He did the one where, Proven Islam is blocked me, so I can't. Nobody can see my comments on there. He did contact me on Discord, but he didn't know it was me. But I don't know what happened to him. I mean, because he's the guy who did the videos of Muhammad and John 14 and the Assumption of Moses, a incomplete 6th century manuscript that's in Italian, and supposedly it says that Muhammad is coming 750 years after Moses or something. But here's the deal: we don't know if Moses A existed or B when he existed. There is no concrete date. So in order for you to do a calculations, you need to know the words. You need to know the date. I mean, there's a big gap depending on which scholars you look up on when they think that Moses lived. Or we don't even really know if Ramses II was the pharaoh during the time of Moses. We really don't know, and everything is based on assumptions. Well, who else could it be? Okay, well, just because you say who else could it be, I mean, it doesn't make it Muhammad. They can't answer the questions. You ask them a question like, okay, in the Torah, where is brother ever used for the Ishmaelites? Well, Ishmael is the brother of Isaac. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? The sun comes up in the morning and it goes down at night. So what? Show me where the Ishmaelites were ever referred to as the brothers of the Israelites. Nowhere. Show me where the Ishmaelites ever hung out with the Israelites. You can't. Oh, and you gotta see his latest video where they were talking about the what do you call it? That guy who debated Brother Rashid. They're talking about Paran, Mount Paran. Oh, Paran is Mecca. Have these people looked at a biblical atlas? I did a video on that.
That guy,
Quran. What does it matter? It's only a letter.
that guy lied about everything from A to Z.
I
Even
know, Jay.
pronunciation of words, even I mean everything he said, it was twisted around.
Okay, hold on a second. Jay wants me to play something. Hold on.
Where is Jay?
I thought he was here.
What, him and Chris Close are hiding now?
Well, they saw you, man. They saw you.
I don't have issues with Jay. I mean, I can deal with Jay, but Chris,
Okay,
he ran.
hold on. This is a good one. Okay. Oh, I have to go over here. No, where's StreamYard? StreamYard. Oh, look at that, Eric Smith. Oh, shoots, I forgot about poor. I'm sorry about that, Mr. Eric. You got to type something. Hold on a second. Let me share the screen. Oh, he's in his car. No driving and being on Pal Talk. Okay, I want to share the screen.
I'm parked right now. I'm at my daughter or granddaughter's hitting lessons.
Okay.
So I'm parking on.
All right, let me see. Jay wanted me to play this. Man, I got too many things opened up. Okay, do that. I got to go over here, and I got to.
Hey, if you don't, I wanted to. I'm not sure what the context was when you were talking about the dates of Moses. Were you saying that you didn't know exactly when he was supposedly lived, or what?
Well, there's a disagreement as far as the exact date. There's a range, but they were talking about the Assumption of Moses, where it says it's supposed to be a prophecy, and Moses is saying that a prophet is going to come 1,750 years, and they were using the date of Moses and the date of Ramsey II to point out that, look, it's pretty close, but I'm like, you can't have a specific date without having
it's off by a couple hundred years, because if you look in the Bible, and I can't remember exactly which book it comes from, I believe it's the Book of Kings, and it talks about when Solomon began building the temple, the Jewish temple, and we know what the date was. That was 968, and then it says that was he began building the temple 400 and some odd years after the wandering in the wilderness or something, or those lines. So it gives you a figure that pushes it out to about 1450, 1400 BC. So it moves it away from second Ramses, it talks about Ramses in the Bible, but that's kind of a non sequitur, and the reason why is because when they were referring to Ramses, they're using not identifying him as the ruler at the time of the Exodus, but using him as a title or a ruler when it describes the Pharaoh of Egypt. So when people get pigeonholed into thinking that the Jews had to have the Exodus at the time of Ramses II, when that's simply not true.
Right, and if it gets pushed back into the 1400 BC, then that equation goes out the window, because then it's not going to be around the time of Muhammad. Let me play this from Jai. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, who's saying that this is 1,700 years from Moses to Muhammad?
Oh, I believe it was in that channel, Proving Islam. He has a video. It's called The Assumption of Moses. And they're trying to say that the book, it's an incomplete manuscript from the sixth century, that they don't even have the original, but the scholars say it goes back to like the 1st century. And it's not in Hebrew. You know how they use stuff. I think it's 6th century AD.
Well, what? Okay.
You can look it up. It's called The Assumption of Moses. I looked it up. I think I might have even downloaded it. Now, I don't know where they came up with this 7 times 250, I think is what they used. and it came out to 750, 1750. And you're like, look, if you subtract that from this date, then look, it's Muhammad. I'm like, are you guys kidding me?
Yeah, this is
I mean, these
this is
people,
probably the same school of thought. The same school of thought that say that we find Moses in Song of Solomon 5:16. We find in Deuteronomy 18:18, Isaiah 42. It's the same mantra. Where when you critically analyze it, it's just a clear sign of desperation of trying to fit Muhammad into the Bible, because the Quran says that we're going to find him in the Torah or the Gospel, and it's the same as saying that, well, we find him in the Gospel of John. He's the Paraclete, don't you see? And well, then what they're doing is they're admitting that the Gospel of John is actually the Gospel, not some Injeel that was made up. Number one, but number two, it says that the Paraclete, the Holy Spirit, is going to live in you. So it's just a bunch of nonsense. Anytime you start dealing with these, Muhammad's prophesied of in the Bible.
well, what they did is there's a new video out where they use a couple of books where they're trying to say that in John, the chapter order, like 14, I think they mentioned from 14 to chapter 18, that the chapters are out of, they're out of order. You'd have to go into their channel and look it up. And they're saying that if you look at I think the guy mentioned P66, he's saying that it's saying that the Holy Spirit or the Holy Ghost was already in the disciples, which I couldn't find a translation for P66. So unless this guy could read, archaic Greek, I have no clue where he came up with that. And it's just the twisting that they do. But here's the funny thing: in Khalil or Kamalaji's channel, when they were critiquing our live debate that I had, and then they did another one, he brings up the Gospel of Barnabas as evidence for Muhammad, and I almost fell out of my chair. I had to do a video called "Suicide by Gospel of Barnabas." I mean, I'm like, do these people do any research? I think a fifth grader would know, the Gospel of Barnabas is, 14th century forgery. Most likely done by Arabs. But here's the kicker. I know why they use it.
It's not the point whether when it was done or anything.
Yeah,
The Gospel of Barnabas is actually anti-Islamic because considering Muhammad to be Jesus.
Right.
So how is that affect them?
Yeah, but see, they skipped that. They skipped that part.
Brought that up on my show at one time, saying that the guy.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, he's in the car. He's probably in the bad area. But here's the thing: what do?
Right.
The reason that they use it is because it justifies their Quran, where it says Isa was made to look. Somebody was made to look like Isa, and in the Gospel of Barnabas, Judas is made to look like Jesus, and he's the one that's hung on the cross. But like you said, the very same book says Jesus himself is telling the lady, "I'm not the Messiah. The Messiah is going to come after me." Well, who comes after Jesus? They say it's Muhammad. So Muhammad is the Messiah. Where in the Quran does it say Muhammad is the Messiah? The Quran says that it's Isa that's the Messiah. But let me go ahead and play this that Jai wants me to play.
Okay, there's a saying in Arabic. We say, if you are a donkey, Quran and Islam becomes clear to you.
Okay,
so
hold
if
on.
you're an idiot, Islam is perfect.
All right, hold on. Let me play this from Jai. It's only 22 seconds.
No voice.
Hold on. You can't hear it?
No, there's no voice coming from the...
Let me see. That's weird. How do I share the voice?
Breaking up.
Okay. No, it doesn't. Okay, I'm kind of lost here because I don't see. Let me try again. Let me know if you can hear it. I'm going to have to start it back up. I don't see why you can't hear it.
No, there is sound coming, but not. I mean, you can't hear nothing he's saying unless if you read the subtitle in English, because he's talking in Arabic, so it doesn't make a difference as long as you read the subtitle. I'm scared that Mickey Mouse. What? Put it back again. Okay, I fear that any word that has the letters. I am scared that Mickey Mouse will become Meccan.
Yeah, that was from Jai. Apparently, okay, I forgot there's a delay. Apparently, you know how Muslims are. Quran is for Ron, right? So just because it says Mount Paran, and they believe Mount Paran is in Mecca, but there is no Mount Paran in Mecca. Mount Sinai, I do believe is the site that's in Arabia, but it's so far up north.
Now there's another area in Jordan called Baqa. I'm not sure if it's a valley or it's a city. Okay, but that's strictly in Jordan. Has nothing to do with the Mecca area.
Right.
I believe it's a valley.
Right. Well, you know that according to what is it, Psalms 86:4 or 84:6, the valley of as the Israelites are going through the valley of Baca. Well, Baca, Mecca. Hey, what's a B and an M?
That place would be most likely the southern part of Israel, because when they cross Sinai, they're going to go through it.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with Mecca.
Of course not. And just look at the description. They don't read the description. They hone in on a simple word.
But the thing is, I don't care. This is what I believe. And how can you argue that?
Oh, now that you said that, that reminds me of that Muslima over in Pete's room. She's trying to tell me that in Genesis, it says that there's going to be a prophet that's going to come from the Ishmaelites. And I told her, show me the verse. Oh, I believe it. I'm like, I'm okay. Well, I believe the moon is made out of cheese, but I can't prove it.
You can't argue somebody's belief, man.
And well, it kind of reminds me, no side. What the no side used to say. Well, I don't care what you say. It's what Muslims believe. Well, Muslims believe in a lot of crap, so I'm not impressed.
Unfortunately, you have so-called Christians believing the same exact thing. So I mean, let's not be playing two faces here.
And no, I agree with you.
There's people that read the book and they tell you, I don't care what the book says. This is what I believe. This is what I make out of it. So
yeah, I think both sides have an issue, but it's just amazing that the desperation that you do not see a Christian trying to defend the Bible by using the Quran. Show me one Christian that is using the Quran to justify the Bible. But what does a Muslim do? He tries to use the Bible, which they say is corrupt, to justify Islam. Oh, it says Mecca. Where? I do not see Mecca. Oh, Hagar. She was left in the desert of Paran. No. Abraham left her in the wilderness of Beersheba, which I did a video on that. And the well. Oh, well, it's a well. It has to be Zamzam. No, it doesn't have to be Zamzam. It's not Zamzam. I did a map on that too.
And by the way, that water is forbidden to be touched or drink because it's poisonous.
I wouldn't doubt it, but I heard it's miraculous. But here's the thing. If you look at the biblical locations, right? The Bible tells us that Hagar got a wife for Ishmael from Egypt. Okay? Look at the map. Look at Egypt. Okay? Look at Mecca. Unless she had a boat that she just hopped over the Red Sea, she would have to go all the way up, cut over to the Sinai Peninsula, which is part of Egypt, And that's like, really? The lady is going to go and travel for what, 30 days or so? And then come back just to get a wife? Everybody was in a general area. When Abraham died, Ishmael was at his funeral. My understanding of Jewish funerals, especially back then, is you had to be buried relatively quickly, maybe within a day or two or three.
The same day. It depends.
Same day?
It has to be buried in the same day, unless if it comes on Saturday night or Friday night, which is the Sabbath. They will bury him either Saturday evening after the Sabbath is over, or first thing Sunday morning. Okay, but the burial is same day before sundown. Now, if he passed away at night, the burial will be the next day. It has to be within 24 hours, no longer, no more.
Well, I mean, then that's even worse because that means Ishmael would have had to been, in an area that it was easily accessible by foot. And if he was in Mecca, we know where Abraham died. We know where he was born. That was a nuclear warning alert. I think we got an EMP coming our way.
Okay, the only way he could have done it if he rode Burak.
Yeah, well, maybe they have a what do you call it? Enterprise. Instead of the Enterprise, they had the Baraka Prize.
Yeah, Muhammad sent Burak to him.
I mean, it's just ridiculous that they want to say that that Ishmael and Abraham, they built the Kaaba, right? We have no evidence.
First of all, there is nothing in the Quran that says any prophets are going to come out of Ishmael. The Quran specifically say Isaac and Jacob.
Right.
So where does the prophet come from Ishmael if the Quran doesn't say it?
They make it up. That's basically it. I mean, Allah is very specific. Okay, there's multiple verses which I don't have them right now because I'm just shooting a breeze, but I can tell you of at least two. 29:27 says, and I gave or bestowed Abraham, Isaac,
29.
and Jacob.
29 what?
27.
27.
Yeah.
Okay, how do I do this?
Well, you know what? I could probably do it faster than you.
I have the share, but I think.
Hold on a second, since I'm already sharing my screen. Islam. Okay, first I got to
learn. When you shared the screen with the video, did you put share audio too, or just
actually no? It didn't ask me for anything about the audio.
Because I get shared audio if I have audio, but I don't have audio on this. It's just the Quran.
Okay, can you see what's on the screen? Oh, I got to put Eric back in. Can you guys read that? Let me see if I can blow it up.
No.
Let me see, 100%. 100. Okay.
Put it full screen.
Huh?
Put it full screen, which will take our pictures off.
Okay.
Okay.
How about now?
Still, it doesn't show.
Well, it's going to take about 20 seconds before you can see it.
It shows, but you can't read it. I mean, you see lines. It's hard to
read it on my end. All right.
Yeah, because it's right in front of you.
No, yeah, that's true. Okay, how about now? Is it getting any better?
Unless if you point it out.
Yeah, that's better.
I'm at 200.
I can read part of it now.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I can read the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me bring it back up.
We bestowed upon him. Well, you went too far. Okay, well, it's the same. Doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
We blessed him with go before it. The one before it. Go one down. Okay.
The Assad.
Yeah, we bestowed upon him Isaac and Jacob, and caused prophethood and revelation to continue among his offspring. And what was this? Vouched him in the word and verify in life to come, he shall find himself among the righteous. Where does it say Ishmael?
It doesn't. And then there's also this one that I can remember, 1949.
Ishmael is not recognized by Jews or Christians. Ishmael is a bastard son.
Okay, and here's 1949. And after he had withdrawn from them and from all that they were worshiping instead of God, we bestowed upon him meaning Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and made each of them a prophet. Now, I've asked Muslims to show me where in the Quran does Allah acknowledge giving Abraham Ishmael as a son. Yes, David, I'm getting professional. Well, I mean, we know that in the Bible, God didn't recognize Ishmael as the true son because it was a violation of what God had promised. Because God had promised Abraham a son through Sarah. Sarah, being the old maid, decided, I'm going to bypass God's and I'm going to go straight and give him my my bondswoman, right? But in the Quran, nowhere does Allah acknowledge Ishmael as being given as a son to Abraham, nor does he say that he's going to make Ishmael and his lineage prophethood. You know?
Well, you heard what Khalil said, Kalamaju, I call him, that Abraham was married to Ishmael's mother, and there's no proof of it nowhere.
No, she was a concubine, which they say is like a second wife, but you don't marry her, right? You basically, if your wife can't have kids, you get a concubine. She's treated like a wife, but she doesn't have the wife privileges.
So she's not a wife.
Right. The kids don't have inheritance unless you have to adopt them. And the thing is that I showed Abraham saying that that Abraham took Sarah to be his wife, and then I showed him where Abraham says he took Keturah as his wife. How come we don't see Abraham saying, and I took Hagar to be my wife? How come the angel of the Lord does not call her Abraham's wife? His wife doesn't call her a wife. Abraham doesn't call her a wife, and God doesn't call her a wife. Shouldn't that tell you something? Doesn't God know the difference? And you could see in other verses in the Old Testament where it talks about, I think it's Solomon and his wives and his concubines. Now, if there were wives, there would be no need to be a distinction. They're all wives. Why do you have to say wives and concubines?
I told him he committed adultery with her.
Yeah. See, and this is the problem with Muslims. They believe that prophets are above reproach. They can't do anything wrong. Or I had one Muslim say they can't commit major sin. Well, what's a major sin? Don't you think adultery is a major sin? I mean,
besides, even though before that it wasn't considered a sin because there were no laws prohibiting that. Remember, the laws came down with Moses.
Right.
Before Moses, there were no laws.
Yeah, but even then, even after the laws of Moses, I do believe King David violated them because he still had all those wives.
Well, yeah, we're talking. I mean, if you talk about after that, yeah, they committed adultery. But before that, in our eyes, it's adultery. In their eyes, it's normal, probably. But still, it's wrong.
Yeah, and they're like, no way Lot slept with his daughters. Why not? They got him drunk. I have no problems with that. I mean, people are people. We do all sorts of things. But they have no problem with Muhammad lusting after his adopted son's daughter to the point where God had to intervene and do away with adoption so Muhammad could marry her. I'm pretty sure that violates one of the 10 commandments. You know, the lustful part. And what did Jesus say? Even if you look at a woman, you've committed adultery. And here's one thing that I still never got an answer. When they say, well, Jesus came not a dot in the law and he came to fulfill the law, I ask them, what law? I mean, there were 603 laws. Did Jesus stone the harlot? I don't think so. Right? He should have. It was the law.
Yeah,
Me personally, I believe Jesus was talking about the 10 commandments.
Exactly.
And I don't believe those 603 laws were given to Moses. Just like the Jews believe in, they say that there's an oral Torah. But I've watched a couple of videos from a channel that's Jews that became Christians. And one of the things that they were talking about is there's no such thing as oral Torah. That
It's the
was made up
Talmud.
by the rabbis and the sage
It's the Talmud.
to
That's
give
the
them
oral Torah.
to give them power.
Yeah, well,
Right?
the Talmud is the oral Torah.
Right.
And the Talmud is actually the filthiest book you can ever read. That's where most of the Quran is taken from.
Right. But the whole thing is like there is no oral Torah. Moses was never given the oral Torah. Show me, because anytime Moses had a question, he referred it to God. There was no oral Torah. What did God physically give him? The 10 Commandments on the 2 stones, which he broke.
The oral Torah again was written by the rabbis, clarifying the Tanakh and the Torah and whatever the Hebrew books they had at that time. They like the Quran. They have the tafsir or the hadith. That's what the oral Torah is, which is actually the Talmud. That's the oral Torah. Okay.
To me, it's like a political move that they made to maintain the power, since there's no more prophets. Poor Eric keeps dropping in and dropping out. Welcome back. So I mean, the Quran kills itself, and today Hussein and Sam were doing the differences in the Quran. The different ahrufs and shots. And they're trying to tell me it's dialect. What dialect? I mean, when chapter 2, 185 says, go and feed a poor person in the huffs, and then the Wars tells you to go feed poor people, how is person and people the same words? I mean, seriously.
Well, that's very minute compared to big and many, say and said, he, and the word he is dropped. Okay, there's a verse, Allahu al-Ghani, Allahu huwa al-Ghani al-Hakim, and the other verse, Allahu al-Ghani al-Hakim. So they dropped a word, a noun.
Okay, hold on a second. We got a customer, and my door is open to customers.
Who do we have?
Oh, I don't know. Some guy calling to Islam. All right, let me post the link. I think I got room for one more. I got 1, 2. No.
You can have 6.
Yeah. I got 3, so he'll be 4. Okay, or anybody wants to come on. But if you come on, we're talking about Islam. We're not talking about where did Jesus say, I am God? Because even if I showed it to you, you wouldn't believe it.
Hold on for a second. Eric, do you remember the time when I said on your channel, in your studio, that a Muslim can actually have sex with his daughter from adultery?
I do not. Sorry, I do not remember that.
Okay, Hussein was on it and Adam was on it as well, and both of them were upset by it because according to the Quran, it forbids them from having sex with their own mother's daughters. But on the same token, in the Quran, it allows him, actually, let's assume that you are a Muslim and you committed adultery with a woman and you had a female child from that woman. Your son can have sex with her and you actually can get married to her because she's not a bloodline.
Well, I don't know about the bloodline because technically she is the bloodline, but they don't consider that.
According to the Quran, she's not a bloodline. And I showed it to Adam. Adam understood it. Hussein got upset with it. Well, that's in the Quran. I didn't bring it from my head.
Right. Well, that's the same thing with 65:4. What do Muslims say? No, it's not talking about little girls. But then you read the tafsirs, Jalalain, Ibn Abbas, Ibn Kathir, Maldudi. What does it say? Muhammad was asked, "What about the girls who haven't yet menstruated because they're too young?" He said, "The waiting period is 3 months." What are you supposed to get from that? That you can marry a young girl and have sex with her.
Exactly. Why would you need to wait 3 months? Go ahead.
Well, this was the focus of the show on Tuesday when we were talking about what a reprobate Muhammad was for being 53 years old and marrying Aisha and consummating the marriage with her when she was 9. And we were looking at some of the things that they had brought up on Kenny Bomer's show, Consider This TV, and they were making every excuse under the sun to try to just. And here are some of the reasons they were using. They were trying to say, well, in the United States during the colonial period, or even the post-colonial period, and in the early founding of our country, the legal age for women was in some states, under 10, 7 in Delaware, for an example. And they kept harping on the fact that the lifespans were a lot shorter at that time. And then they trying to say, well, me, as a history teacher, I should know these things. But what they say on the show, and they can show all the time, they state so many facts that simply aren't true. The
Well,
fact of the
in
matter
Alabama,
is you had such a high mortality rate, not only in children, but also women giving childbirth. So of course that's going to lessen the number of, it's going to make the average lifespan shorter. But number two, the children, even though the age of consent was pushed down to 7, it was mainly for property rights and having arranged marriages that had nothing to do with 53-year-old scumbags crawling on top of 9-year-old prepubescent girls. And every time you get into a conversation with Muslims about this, they always try to deflect to something else. They never hold Muhammad accountable for what he did. It doesn't matter in what mode or in what venue you're challenging this point to them on. You could be doing it on Facebook and having a discussion. I've had mothers on Facebook say that if it was their daughter, they would allow a 53-year-old man to marry their daughter. They cannot. Regardless of the fact that our human instinct is to say that is just wrong as the day is long for somebody my age to engage and have a physical relationship with a prepubescent little girl. They can't do it because Muhammad did it. That tells you how spiritually blinded they are. And when they try to justify it, it shows you how desperate they are to legitimize Muhammad as that example. Was it 33:21, whatever verse it is? That's a great example for them to follow. They'd do anything to try to legitimize that. But the fact of the matter is that the guy practiced pedophilia. And when you practice pedophilia, you're a scumbag. And I don't care what they have, and this is one of the things that they're saying, that we're going to get you fired because, or we're going to try to get you fired from your teaching job because you're a hate preacher and you spread Islamophobia. If telling the truth about a person's religion is somehow spreading hate, then we've lost our country. And you just cannot allow these people to do this. And I'm not going to allow them to do it. But I'm going to be there every Sunday, every Tuesday night, saying, "Look, you guys are sick in the head."
Eric, regardless
Yes,
to what the laws were in the U.S. at one time, as a matter of fact, in Alabama, the age of marriage was 14. But that's irrelevant. That's a human practice, has nothing to do with being ordered by the religion of the people or the faith of the people to do it. And that's what Muslims don't know how to differentiate between the human behavior and the religion or the faith they're following. A Muslim is a victim of Islam. Christianity can be a victim of Christians, and they can't differentiate between the two. So when you tell them the Quran is your source of belief and you're following what the Quran, that's what Allah commanded you with, has nothing to do what a person does on the side. They cannot comprehend that.
Here's the biggest problem. No, go ahead, Eric.
Well, I was just saying, don't they fall back on that verse, though, that says that Muhammad is the best example for them to follow? And if that example is indeed marrying a 9-year-old girl, prepubescent, let me keep making sure that we understand the verbiage here, that prepubescent 9-year-old little girl, and he was 53, 54 years old. I don't, that's, isn't that what they're trying to say, that, that is a good example to follow?
Well, they pick and choose. They pick and choose whatever they feel like it's good for them to do it. They tell you this, what we pick. Other Muslims will tell you, no, that we have nothing to do with that. That's the bad Muslims do it. So they pick and choose.
But how are there being bad Muslims when, if Muhammad is the perfect example to be emulated, and
Well,
Muhammad is the prophet, then the ones that are not doing it would be the bad Muslims, not the ones who are actually doing.
Exactly. That's why when we bring, for example, ISIS and Qaeda and all those groups, they tell you those are bad Muslims. Meanwhile, they are the actual true Muslims. But the other ones try to cover up for them. So, oh, they are bad and we are good. Meanwhile, they're all following the same book, and the majority of them, they don't even understand. They don't comprehend what they read. They rely on their shuyukh and their imams and their scholars to teach them. If one of them has half brain to read and understand on his own, he would not stay in that religion.
But see, here's the other problem. I believe that you will find this from westernized Muslims. Not so much the Muslims that are in, let's say, a Muslim country. But my problem is, if Muhammad is the perfect example, right, that you have to follow, we don't follow any prophets. You know, King David, he did his little share of, things that he shouldn't have. I don't say, well, King David is the perfect example that I want to emulate. I don't believe King David started a religion.
Yeah, but see, the marriage of free or young age is written in the Talmud. Because according to the Talmud, a Hebrew rabbi or priest can get married to a 3-year-old child. Okay.
Now, maybe that's where they got it from. I don't know. I haven't read the Talmud. Moshe had talked about
the biggest
that.
difference, though, the biggest difference you can say, though, is that we are not required to find, number one, extra biblical sources to provide us a guidance for how to live our lives. And you're absolutely right that is an example that they do bring up and say, well, Isaac was 90 and Rebecca was 3 years old when he engaged her, or Joseph was 80 and Mary was 12 when he was. But we're not required. We're not ordered to follow their example. Not required to follow their sunnah.
Exactly. We don't have no order.
Right, and that's the biggest difference right there. Is that okay, these guys, and when even if you look at the Jews today, and this is a really good point to follow. If you look at the Jews today, they venerate King David. I mean, if you go to Israel today, I mean, there's King David Hotel, King David. They loved him because he's their king. But if you ask them, did David sin? And they would say, yes, absolutely. He sinned when he had Uriah the Hittite killed, the husband of Bathsheba, and fathered that child. But the difference is that he did not receive some type of biblical justification or some type of revelation from God justifying that. He was chastised by the prophet, I believe it was Samuel. And then from there, he turns around and he repents of his sin. This is the exact opposite of what Muhammad did. He's going to justify that. And he continued to sin by continuing to be married and continued to consummate, quote unquote, or have sex and physical relations with Aisha, even when she was prepubescent. And all through that time period where she goes from 9 years old all the way up until she's 18 years old. And by the time he died, he's 62 years old, and she's only 18, and she can't marry anybody else the rest of her natural life. How pathetically evil is that?
And there's a command in the Quran from Allah to do the same. So if there was no command and we said, well, Muhammad did it compared to David and the rest of them, and they left it there, we'll probably say it's okay. But there is a command that they can follow what Muhammad did. So now they have an order from God to do it, which we don't have that kind of command.
Right. Yeah.
You also have the problem.
If we do something like that, we're supposed to repent.
Right.
Heck, you'll be killed, not repent.
Hey, but you also have the problem where we can find where the prophets got punished, as Eric was saying. But Eric, on your last show, remember, I think one of the arguments was Now I can't remember. They were saying, I think it was, well, the whole thing with the age, I think somebody said the heat. But Muhammad seems like instead of getting punished by Allah, he gets rewarded.
Right.
And I know Aisha says in the hadith that, it's kind of weird that Allah comes to his little whims. Whenever he gets caught having sex or married a Copt. What
Right.
happens? Allah comes
Exactly.
in, there goes 424. You can have sex with what your right hand possesses, right? Muhammad lusts after his adopted son's wife. What happens? Allah does away with adoption so it can be legal or lawful for Muhammad to marry his adopted son's wife.
Think about how evil that is. I mean,
Yeah.
just for a second, think about, one of the kindest things one of the most humane things that we can do as human beings is adopt an orphan and give them our names and bring them in as a family member and raise them as a family member. And he does it all because Muhammad abolished. I say Muhammad because it's quite obvious where the Quran came from. Muhammad abolishes the most natural or one of the most humane and loving things a human being can do, all because he wants to lust after the divorced wife of his adopted son. That's just so inherently evil. I don't know how else you can describe that unless you are, of course, spiritually blinded.
Yeah, but you're wrong, Eric. It wasn't poor Muhammad. You're blaming Muhammad. It was Allah who did that.
No, 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 no. The verse said, I mean, when Muhammad went and saw her, he said to Allah something in reference to how great it is who changed the hearts.
Right. Yeah. So
That was
she could hear
Muhammad.
it.
Then after that, Allah sent the verse to him. So Muhammad is the one who initiated the change of the heart, and Allah supported him.
I mean, did you see God? Or it's the same thing when God or Allah gave the command, you can marry up to 4 wives, but Muhammad gets a pass. He gets special privileges. Now, do we find that in the Bible where God says to, let's say, a prophet and says, listen, I'm sending you a law, but I'm excluding you from that law. I can't find that in the Bible where God makes exceptions for his prophets. I mean, the law is supposed to be across the board, prophet or not. Muhammad gets all these little special, privileges that and this is one of the reasons why when Muslims say, well, the God of the Bible and the God of the Quran are the same. No, it's not. It's like day and night. I mean, you cannot compare the two. Just look at the things, that's the and don't forget. Now, the Quran is the words of Allah. Why is it that you find three verses in the Quran where revelation came from who? Came from, I call him the Peep and Tom Umar, right? The reason that the Muslim women have to veil today is because he liked the people and his wives that they were going poo-poo, right? So he goes to Muhammad and he says, listen, I really think your wife should cover up. And guess what happens? Revelation comes. Veil your wives. Changing the Qibla. Oh, I think we should change the prayer from Jerusalem to Mecca. What happens? Revelation. And then the funny one about he's having an argument with the 2 wives. And he says, well, you better be careful because if Allah wills it, maybe Muhammad will divorce you and Allah will give him better wives. That's in the Quran. But I'm supposed to believe that the Quran is the uncreated speech of Allah.
Okay. I want to tell Eric something. Eric, you know that they say that the Quran is eternal because it's the words of Allah, correct? Now, Allah is eternal. So if Allah is eternal and the Quran is eternal, Allah and the Quran are one, correct? Would you say so?
No. You would have two different things that are eternal unless they coexist in one essence.
That's what I'm saying. If Allah and his words are eternal and Allah is eternal, then that means the words of Allah and Allah are the one of the same.
Okay, in one essence. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Okay,
I would agree with that.
The Muslim will tell you, no, there are 2. So now we have 2 eternals. So the Muslim now is committing shirk because now he believes in Allah as eternal and the Quran is eternal.
Yeah, I think Anthony Rogers does a really good job of showing the duplicity in the Islamic objection to the Trinity when they themselves commit the same. But theirs is actually a logical fallacy, whereas the Trinity is not a logical fallacy.
Well, you also have in the Quran where it says Isa is the messenger of Allah, his word and his spirit. Well, kind of like what we say in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They don't see three, but we see three, or we're supposedly we see three, because I don't know of any Christian that believes in three gods.
Well,
our God is just a little bit more complicated.
Right, according to Christians. But I've been on the show before where I've cited Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas, who is a contemporaneous with Muhammad, says that passage, I believe it's 4:171, and there's another passage where it talks about Mary or Jesus and Mary eating food or something on those lines. Ibn Abbas is saying that the Trinity, or the three that the Christians believe in, is God the Father, Allah, God the Son, Jesus Christ, and God the Mother, Mary. And then it's also confirmed by Al-Jalalain in his writings. And you also, by the way, you also find it in the Sirah, in the biography of Muhammad. So they didn't even know. And this is why you absolutely know, without a shadow of a doubt, that the Quran is false, because Muhammad had no idea what the Christians believe. He actually believed that Christians worshipped Mary as one of three gods.
Well, at one time, there are a group of Christians who did believe in that. Back in them days, there.
That's the. Are you talking about the Carolinian sect?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've heard. I've heard that. I've heard that argument before. But number one, there's no extant writings exist from that sect itself. Number one, and number two, the only time that they are referenced is when they are referenced by the early church fathers as being a heretical group. So
and
even then,
the Nestorians as well.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. Was it the Nestorians that were referencing them?
I believe so.
Group?
I believe so. Well, Nestorians
you might be right on that.
I mean, Nestorians were heretical as well. I mean, it was more than one group, because Waraq bin Nawfal.
Hello? Hey, we have Zachariah. Is this the Zachariah from Pell Talk?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the stream.
When you guys were talking about the Trinity getting wrong, I think this is what I hate about most Christians that have dialogue with, is they think the world revolves around them. Coloridism was refuted by, I think, Epiphanemus Salamis, who's a church, I'm not sure if he's a church father, but he's a well-respected scholar in early Christianity, I think just a few hundred years before Muhammad. So
you need to mute the background, man, because you have like some kind of echo.
Yeah, I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, I couldn't hear him either. I don't know.
Yeah, but we're really not talking about Trinity, so I kind of figured he was going to come up with that.
I mean, what would be his object? Well, it's your show. You go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't know what honestly, I don't know what he said. He mentioned something about church fathers and Trinity. Well, see, here's the thing. They're looking for the word Trinity, but it's not the word itself is not there. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
No, I said, when you guys were talking about the Trinity getting it wrong, I think most Christians that we have dialogue with, they think the world revolves around them and everyone believed what they believed. I think Coloridism was a sect that was primarily in Arabia and was refuted by Epiphanemus of Salamis, who's I think he's a church father, I'm not sure. But he dealt with them like firmly, and he said that they worshipped Mary and they had idols of Mary, and it was in Arabia. You can read his writings on this, we're not making it up. And there were many other writings refuting them. We don't have their writings because Arabia was primarily illiterate. Do you understand?
Who was illiterate?
Arabia was generally illiterate at the time. There wasn't writings.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right about them worshiping Mary, but here's the thing. What I'm looking for is, because according to the Quran, it's talking about Mary being a god. So
wait,
to me,
hold on a second for a minute. When you talk about illiterate, are you referring to them they cannot read nor write, or they are
No,
literate in knowledge?
I would say a bit of both.
Um, uh, I don't know about that, man, because the word illiterate, it could be either or. It could be illiterate in reading and writing, or they can read and write, but they don't have the knowledge.
Yeah,
Well,
When
it
you
would
the
be
thing is, the
illiterate and
Christians in
ignorant.
Arabia, sorry, the Christians in Arabia, they were disconnected from the world. I think all of us can agree on that because Arabia is a harsh desert and it's very hard to
well,
travel in and out of Arabia, especially when you're in Najran, which is all the way in the south. You can't get all the way to the Roman Empire that easily. It's a hard travel. That's why there wasn't much contact. So I wouldn't be surprised if people in Najran, for example, were uneducated and illiterate. I don't know, possibly this speculation, but this is why most archaeologists say there wasn't much writings in Arabic before Muhammad Sallallahu and before Islam. After Islam came, Arabic was spread, and then literacy was more and more because that's when the Arabians became rich. Do you understand?
can you tell me when were the pre-Islamic poetry written?
The Mu'allaqat, they were written before Muhammad Sallallahu.
So
I
they
can give
were
you that one. But the
so,
Shu'ara were known to be literate. They were known to understand poetry
but
inside out.
but
That's a
but
different case.
they're
I'm talking
writing.
about the Christians. I'm not talking about the Shu'ara.
Well, who are those shu'ara?
They were in Mecca, but they also are around Mecca. But they were the Mushrikeen.
What were they? Were they Arabs? Were they Christians? Were
They
they?
were Arabs, but they wasn't Christians. I'm talking about the Christian Arabs. I'm not talking about the Mushrikeen Arabs.
Okay, so you talk about Christian Arabs. Can you tell me where did the Christian Arabs come from?
A lot of them were in Najran, but they were also in other areas like the Lakhmids and the
Where did they
Gazidids
come?
in the north.
Where did the original Arab Christian came from?
There were some in Yemen, and then
They,
they spread into the north. So the Ghazavids and the Lakhmids,
the, fir- the,
both
fir-
of them were
the
from Yemen
first Arab,
originally, Osman. Then they
the
moved to
first
the
Arab,
north.
okay, the first Arab Christians started in Yemen. You're correct. But Waraq bin Nawfal, was he living in Yemen?
But he's not the Christians of today. He's a true Christian.
He's the true Christian.
Sah.
Rahib Buhaira, was he a true Christian?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure who that is. So I'm gonna have to go study that. Tell me the name again. I'm gonna write it down.
Buhaira the monk.
oh yeah, the monk.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go home and study that. I'm not sure about
Okay.
that. I don't know.
Well, if they are true Christians, why were they kicked from the church?
They were kicked from the church because the Roman Empire had a long history of this, and even the European Christians. I think in the Frankish kingdom they butchered all the Christians in I think the Netherlands because they rejected the deification of Christ after it was established. Europe had a long history of this. So the Roman Empire, when they were butchering Christians for not believing what they believed,
Wait
it's
a
not
second.
surprising. It's in the
Well,
history books.
let me. Can I address this? Because one of my
Go ahead.
areas that I
Okay.
specialize
Yeah,
in
yeah.
is in church history.
Please
When
come
you
in,
start
come in,
talking
come in.
about, I'm sorry.
I meant like come in the dialogue. I'm not stopping you.
No, that's fine. But when you start talking about, the butchering of entire Christian sects for dissenting from Orthodox Christianity in the 7th century, that's just not true. The only
Yeah, I
time
think
that you really see any.
I'll let you speak on this. Sorry.
Say that again.
Well, I
I
wanted
can't
to say I
hear you
think you
really well. I'm
saw
sorry.
Nabi. It wasn't strictly in the 7th century. We're talking about the build up before then. We're asking how did they end up in Arabia? How were the likes of Waraqah bin Nawfal there? So
Well,
this is anything
you have to
with the
remember that
seventh century and before.
the Christian religion itself expanded as about as far as the Roman Empire itself had expanded. When you talk about Orthodox Christianity and the Catholic Church and its authority at the time of Muhammad, the fringe of that authority and the fringe of being able to enforce authorities around Medina, Mecca, that part of Arabia. So when you start hearing of these other ideas, like the Carolinians coming in, where the Christians worship Mary uh, as part of 3 gods, or you start finding Gnostic stories that we find in the Quran. This is why, because the enforcement of orthodoxy as far as Catholicism was concerned, or the power of the Catholic Church was concerned at that time. He said that was basically the border. So you're going to start finding different different sects. It would be natural to find these different sects, and also the acceptance of books, which you would have the Gnostic Gospels, or you would have Gnosticism uh, being taught in those areas and being accepted as Orthodox Christianity by somebody who was illiterate, who was ignorant, just as Muhammad was.
Yeah,
Does that make sense at
I
all?
think we're in. Yeah, I think we're in agreement here. The fact that in, but
Okay.
I want to touch on one topic. I want to touch on one specific topic. You talk about Gnostic stories, but if you go to the ending of the Gospel of Mark, literally the last chapter, John says that I don't basically the whole world doesn't have enough ink to document what Jesus did or something along those lines. So you can't necessarily reject the fact that Jesus blew, let's say, into a clay bird and it flew away and he did all these other miracles. You have to be agnostic on it because John mentioned that, look, we don't have enough ink to write down what Jesus did.
Okay, well, here John's using a literary device or an allegory here when he says that. That does not mean that we have to necessarily accept something such as the infancy gospel or the Arab infancy gospel of Thomas, where Jesus is speaking from from the cradle, or where Jesus is giving life to clay birds. That's not what he's referring to there. He's not referring to, all these other, the Gospel of Peter, the Gospel of Mary, or all these other stories that crept in the middle of the second, third centuries. That's what John's referring to there.
So why are you necessarily rejecting that specific miracle? I think you shifted the argument. No one's telling you to accept the gospel. What I've basically asserted is that John says we can't write down what Jesus did. You claim this an allegory. It doesn't change the point regardless. Um, the point remains that, look, that miracle, Jesus may have done it. John maybe
Okay,
didn't
well,
write
I
it down.
reject.
Sorry.
Okay, so I reject it simply because it wasn't written down for another 150 years. That's why I reject it. And just like anything else, the longer you give the longer of time that expires, or is from the time that something is written down, recording the history, to the time where it is at, or the time of the event to the time where it's finally written down, and you start having oral tradition creeping in, you have all of these fanciful stories, and this is where legend and lore comes in. This is why you find a Muhammad that is completely different, as you find in the Quran than you do in the Hadith, because you have 200 years of people not writing things down, and you have the ability to start developing these legends, start enveloping these stories. And this is what you find with the Gnostics. They started developing these stories to fill in some of the gaps that the
Yeah, I
Gospels
just want to
didn't
address
address.
one point that you've made is that essentially you're saying the later hadith are
Did I get
rejected
cut off?
because they're 200 years later. You see, I think this is where uneducation comes in because the earliest documentation about hadith we have is the Muwatta of Imam Malik, which is 93 years after Muhammad after Hijri, sorry. So that's even earlier. That's like 60 years after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's death. So
Say that
that's
last
like
part again. What
the
was that last thing you
Muwatta
said
of
again?
Imam Malik was written 93 Hijri. So that's like 60 years after Muhammad sallallahu passed away, and that's an entire compilation of hadith, and it's very well respected. Some people say it's even more authentic than Bukhari and Muslim. That's a discussion that the Muslims
Is
are
it
having, sure, but you can't
extant
reject the
manuscript
entire hadith.
that
Sorry?
you have there's an extant manuscript of this hadith? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure if there's an extant manuscript of that hadith, but it's a well fact of history that Imam Malik
There's an
was a
extant manuscript here that you have that's dated 90
again, can you
years
please let me speak?
after
I
Muhammad.
think we're trying to have a back and forth, and you're silencing me. I just want to
Okay, so then
assert
you're
one
going
point.
back to this was written. Okay, then what you're doing
Yeah,
is you're going
you're lagging. Sorry.
back
I can't hear you. You're lagging.
to
You're lagging.
tradition.
Yeah, I think he's lagging. I can't hear him. But I just wanted to make this one point. He's claiming that look, we need extant manuscripts and all this stuff. Listen, we're the Muslims and our system. We don't need manuscripts. Manuscript isn't even a backup. We've is mutawatir that look, the scholars used to memorize hundreds of hadith in their heads. So when we have the isnad system and the memorization and mutawatir and weak narrators and all of this, we don't need manuscripts like that. Then when the people claim that look, we don't like the system, then maybe we can bring the manuscript as a backup. But the primary, the asl, is built upon look the memorization and the isnad and the whole system.
So are you telling me that your memorization is 110% perfect, correct?
Not necessarily. So I forgot the
So
translation
how can you
in
prove
Arabic.
anything?
Well,
How can you prove anything without writing?
Sorry.
How can you prove anything without it being written down?
Again, this is I think this is a good question actually. So when you have let's say I'll give you one example of a hadith. من كذب عليه متعمدا you know the hadith. Whoever lies upon me intentionally, let him sit. Let me finish.
Just answer my question.
Okay, fine. I'm just gonna give you an example. But if we have mutawatir, if you have a guy, okay.
How can you prove something without having it written down?
Okay, are you finished with the question?
Yes.
Okay, so what I would say with that is the concept of mutawatir. When you have a guy in Egypt and Persia, all across the world, everyone's in ijma' that Muhammad said this. You have 80 different hadith chains that are all authentic. Then you can't say it's fabricated. It's impossible.
One more time. How can you prove something that you can't see it, you cannot read it, that is not written?
Again,
how can you prove
again,
it?
I've responded. I said mutawatir ahadith. I don't know what you don't. Maybe you don't like the answer. It's the truth.
I still need something physically to see it and to compare it with what you're telling me. Because I could tell you ABC said on EFG, said on EFB, said on XYZ, said from EFG, said to ABC, said, and where is the proof? Do you have anything in writing? Do you have anything in writing to support your claim? Yes or no?
Okay, are you done? Because you keep talking over me. Every time I speak, you speak over me. If you're going to let me speak, then
you are telling me this is mutawatir. We understand. But I don't care whether it's mutawatir or not. I need something in writing to prove your claim. Do you have anything in writing to prove what you're saying? Yes or no?
Are you gonna cut me off?
We are not in a debate. We are not in a debate for you to read the scripture for me.
You keep cutting me off though. Every time I respond, you say no.
My question
this isn't fair. This isn't a fair question.
My question is straightforward. It's yes or no answer. Do you have anything in writing to support your claim? Yes or no?
Not in writing.
Then you can't talk about it.
Where did you make up that rule? Sorry, where did you make up that rule?
Because when you go to court and the judge asks you for evidence, well, you can tell him, I heard it. You don't have any evidence.
This is so if the judge comes in with CCTV camera footage, then it's not written down, is it? Khalas. So it's not always written evidence that you need.
Okay, let me cut. Hey guys, let me cut in.
Court brings you 5 witnesses who have all memorized the same incident and they explain exactly the same in a court that will be accepted as evidence. 100% that will be accepted. Now imagine there's 80 people that come with the same exact hadith. 100% that's being accepted in court, no doubt.
All right, let me cut in. Given the fact that I did take law, I was going to be a lawyer. First of all, you mentioned Malik. There is no written, you can't show me the manuscripts or the writing down. All the hadiths are at least 200 years after the fact. Regardless if Malik was 60 years after Hijrah or 90 years after Hijrah, you do not have anything. You have oral tradition. Oral tradition is like hearsay. I heard so and so, who heard so and so, who heard so and so say Muhammad said this. When the hadiths were written down, everybody, including Muhammad, was dead. Every companion was dead. Everybody that knew the companions was dead. Everybody that knew the companions that knew the people that knew the people, they were all dead. How do you verify? If I tell what do Muslims know something and he tells you and he says, well, Dr. Kufrophobia told me to tell you this. How do you know what he's saying is exactly what I said if you can't question me? Now you brought
Yeah,
up the seats, you brought up the cameras. Well, I mean, those people would have been alive and they would have been in the area. All the people that, I mean, and this is how silly the hadiths are. I can show you a hadith in Sahih Muslim that contradicts the hadith in Sahih Bukhari. I can show you 3 hadiths in Sahih Bukhari that contradict each other and they're one right after the other one. All of these people that supposedly the isnad was, was good, they were all dead. It's all hearsay. It's all oral tradition. 200 years later, how do I know? And the same thing with your Quran. How do I know your Quran is even true? Or the words of Allah. Did Allah speak directly to Muhammad? And the answer is, if you're going to be honest, is no.
okay.
Okay.
So I would like
Okay.
to add something. Just let me add something. Can I add
points,
something to that? Can I add something to that?
Sure.
Yeah, no problem.
When the hadiths were compiled, they're compiled by Bukhari, which is he's from I think where he is from is like 1,500 miles from Mecca. Sahih Muslim is like 900 miles from Mecca. So not only are these people two and a half centuries removed from when these sayings were supposedly are constructed or when they began, but they're also in different cultures and in different times. And then on top of that, the earliest, and you don't do this for at least 2 centuries after the death of Muhammad, and then the earliest extant manuscript that we have of any of these hadith is 4 centuries after Muhammad. And yet we're being asked, we're asked to consider, and Muslims are asked to consider these to be authentic because of what? The science of a hadith. Well, I would like to see the rubric that Bukhari used, or the rubric that Muslim used, or the rubric that Abu Dawood used. I want to know how they determined one hadith was authentic and one was not. Because if you remember, Bukhari received, what was it, 700,000 hadith, and he's able to, using this science, use this rubric to get down to 7,000 authentic hadith. I would like to know what type of rules he used in order to determine what was and what was not authentic and apply it consistently throughout all of the hadith.
Okay, can I respond to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing that you said was, oh, we need extant manuscripts. Now, I've already told you, if you have 80 different people all across the world coming to the same exact wording, if you have 80 different people all across the world saying Alexander the Great existed and he did all of this stuff, historians have to accept it, right? Then the manuscript comes as a backup. Okay, now you said Imam Bukhari was in Bukhara, which is true, which is thousands of miles away, no problem. Muslim as well was in Persia, no problem. But I think this is uneducation on your part because Imam Bukhari didn't stay in Bukhara. Muslim didn't stay in Persia. They traveled all the way to Mecca. They went to Basra. They went all across the Middle East, and they went thoroughly in their travels. Number 2, I think this
Okay,
is
can I ask you a
clearly,
question? Can I just ask you a question about what you
made
said there?
like 10
Can I
different
just ask you a
points.
question?
Do you want me to address them one by one? So number 2,
I just wanted to ask you a
I
question
think
of when Bukhari and Muslim were traveling. Do you think that they were encountering different cultures or different ways of doing or saying things as they traveled than what they would normally do or say things? I mean, would you say that would be a fair criticism of their travels?
it depends really. If you're saying, okay, you're traveling into the Arab world and they eat different foods, okay, what relevancy does that have to hadith? That's got nothing to do with what food a Yemeni guy eats and the Saudi guy eats. That's got nothing to do with it. But if you say they
Well,
have different
I'll
systems,
tell you why
no,
it does impact it. Go ahead.
because
That's
the
fine.
scholars came in ijma'a or consensus that okay, this is the system that we're going to use. Here's how we cross-reference it. Here's ilm al-rijal. Here's the books of al-rijal. Hundreds of books saying, okay, I've met this guy. He memorized the Quran. His memory was good, but he was known to be a liar and he was known to be a fabricator. We didn't take from him, and that's why this. So they cross-reference everything, and everyone was in consensus of this. You won't find a guy who'll come and say, "Oh, I want to do a different system." You'll get thrown out of a mosque. They won't take you seriously. So the principle that they used, no, it didn't change. 100% it didn't change. So I can't remember all the other points. You made too many, but if anyone wants to respond to that.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
but see,
gotta. Here comes my granddaughter. I gotta go, guys. We'll see you.
Okay.
Thanks for the conversation. Be good. God bless.
All right. Thanks. Well, I still have a problem with that because my understanding is Bukhari went through 600,000 hadiths and whittled it down to a little over 7,000, which half of them are repetition. Okay, that's an impossibility. How do you go through 600,000? How long did it take you to verify? How long did it take you to collect? I mean, I've done the math because that's what I do. I crunch numbers. There is no way that a guy, even if he spent his entire life from the time he got out of diapers, there's no way that he could have personally verified 600,000, given the fact that the people that supposedly heard those sayings of Muhammad had been dead for about 200 years. So anybody that says, well, this guy was trustworthy, how do you know? It's all hearsay. Nobody was alive to verify anything.
No, I think this is, again, I've told you, there's books of Ar-Rijal which cross-reference. You have multiple eyewitness testimonies. Okay, this guy memorized the Quran, he was a liar. This guy, he had a weak memory towards the end of his life when he got old and he was becoming unreliable. This guy did this, this guy did. I'm telling you, there are volumes, libraries of books on this.
Yeah.
And all of them come to ijma' on one guy, let's say. Principle number 2. Now, you said Bukhari did 600,000 ahadith. But again, Bukhari wasn't a lone wolf. These scholars weren't by themselves. They had multiple students and multiple scribes. Such was the nature of the ancient world. You wasn't by yourself, especially when you're doing books of a hadith. People want to come with you because Islamically, you get great reward for trying to preserve the religion. So 100% Bukhari had multiple students. We have their names. We have their biographies inside out. I can't bring them all to you because I'm not a machine. I haven't memorized them. But again, they're in the books of Ar-Rijal.
Okay, Zakaria, never reference to memorizing and whatever the case might be, in this case, memorizing. Can you tell me which, I know you speak Arabic, don't you?
No. My Arabic's not good. My Arabic's not good.
Okay, okay, I'm going to still ask you. Do you understand the difference between qala and qul?
Of course, qal is he said and qul is say.
Okay, is that reading or is that pronunciation, or that has nothing to do with pronunciation and reading?
To be honest, wallahi, if I'm telling you the truth, I'm a jahil on this matter. 100%. Of course, I'm not a guy who knows the qira'at inside out. That's down to the scholar.
That's the reason I asked you about the reading. Is it considered to be reading, or is it considered something else? Because if you put the word tomato, some people read it tomato, some people read it tomato. That is reading. But when you say tomato and somebody else says potato, those are two different words. Qala and qul are two different words. That's not reading. Do you understand the difference between reading? If I'm reading the sentence, I ate tomatoes yesterday, and somebody else came and said, I ate tomatoes yesterday, both are correct because it's the same word pronounced differently. It's still the same meaning. That is reading. But if I come and tell you, you say, and I come and say, well, he said, are they the same reading?
Again, I'm telling you, I'm not a scholar on this. I don't know this inside out. But
Okay.
you said,
so which Quran,
one second.
Which Quran was memorized?
I know. I just want to say one thing. So, you've made the claim that okay, the qira'at are like potato and tomato and tomato. No one said that. When you go literally in Surah Al-Fatiha and it says
Whoa,
Maliki
whoa, whoa,
Yawmiddin and
whoa,
Maliki
whoa,
Yawmiddin,
whoa.
that's two different words. It's different
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
vocabulary.
whoa, wait
No
a
one
second,
shifted the
wait a
argument
second.
there. I
Wait
didn't
a
say tomato
second.
and tomato.
Wait a second, Zakaria. Wait a second. Wait a second. Just tomato and tomato are different. Is that what you say?
No, no, no. I don't think you're paying attention. I said we didn't say the qira'at are like that. I said we didn't say that.
What
Is
is
this
the
guy is this guy
what is
okay?
he's perfectly fine. What is the meaning of qira'at? Can you translate that to English?
I'm not sure. Can you tell us?
Qira'at means reading.
Okay.
Different readings.
Now,
Qira'at
but you and I both know that the qira'at aren't, let's say, what do you call it? Tomato and tomato. I think that's a very wrong example. Number two, the claim that most of you guys that I've heard you make is okay. The Muslims, they had the Uthmanic Rus. Wait, just let me finish.
Why is it a different subject? Why is it irrelevant? Tomato and
No, I
tomato.
said that's a bad analogy. That's what I said.
Why is
That's what I
that?
said.
It's the same word read differently. In Arabic, the word batata, which means potato. I say batata. You talk to an Egyptian guy, he says batatas. It's the same word, pronounced differently, but it's still the same word. It's the same meaning. It did not change in meaning. It did not change in writing. When you say qala and you say qul, they change in meaning and they change in writing. How is that the same reading?
Okay, brother, what do Muslims know? Excuse me. Let me add.
I
Let
just
me
want
add
to say
something
before we
to.
continue, my battery is on 14%.
Wait a
so
second. Wait a second, Zakaria. Wait a second.
No,
I'll
deal with this. I'll deal with this. No problem. But just wrap up.
Zakaria. So let me add something to what do Muslims know. I don't think you understand what he means there. Let me give you another example. Right? British, for British guys. Here's another example. Okay. The British says garage. Okay. Garage. British say the British say
we say garage.
Garage. Let me finish. Some British say
it's garage and some say garage.
Zakaria, you're not listening. You're not listening. You're not letting me finish. Are you?
Okay, I'll let you finish.
Okay. You're not letting me finish. Are you? So
no, I'll let you finish.
Some people. No. You've done your part. Let me say something. Okay. Some British say garage. Well, some Americans say garage. However, just because they differ in pronunciation, it doesn't mean that they don't have the same meaning. They both have the same They both have the same meaning. They both have the same thing. It's just that some pronunciations are very different, but they still have the same meaning. That's what do Muslims know is saying. When you say tomato in American language, when you say tomato in a British language, they may have different pronunciations, but still the same meaning. You're the one who Zakaria. You're the one who keeps on insisting that they are different.
You're reading the same word differently. So there are two different readings, but the word is the same. The meaning is the same. That is what reading means. You are reading the same word in different ways, but it gives the same exact meaning. Now, when you say qala and you say qul, are you reading them the same? Do they give the same meaning?
Again, I think you misunderstood. I'm exactly agreeing with you guys. I'm not saying it's different accents or different pronunciations. The brother here gave the example of patata and patatas. That's accent. I'm agreeing with you guys here.
Okay,
I'm saying the qira'at aren't
if you agree when you say qira'at, what do you mean by qira'at? That's what I asked you. What do you mean by qira'at?
But Like, listen, Akhi, you and I both know the linguists, the qira'at could have multiple meanings. You know, one kalima like daraba can mean hit, it can mean parable, it can mean tap, it can mean touch. The
Sir,
Arabic language is like, you know better than me.
listen. When you are talking about the Quran and the language of the Quran, you cannot bring today's understanding of what a word can mean and compare it to
Sah,
1400 years ago. So you have to
sah,
use the
sah, I'm
word
with you.
the same exact way they were used at that specific time. So when I say to you, read, does it give you the same meaning when I say to somebody, they read?
Again, what I'm trying to tell you is you and I both know we're not going to go to each mu'allaqat and each ancient Arabic writing and look at the context here and then cross-reference it. It's unrealistic. What I'm telling you is the Quran is the Qira'at are varying readings. You can use it as that principle, but my
That's what
understanding
I
is
asked
they're
you.
varying readings.
This is what I'm asking you. Can you define readings?
Again, I've told you that they're varying readings, they're different readings of the same rasm, the same text, the same skeleton. Now, what one thing that I've
Okay,
heard, I don't know if you guys make this clear. Wait. I just want to address. I want to address this. My battery is very low, so I just want to make this point. Is that people I've heard them make the claim that the rasm, the Uthmanic rasm, people didn't know how to read it. They got confused over the words, and that's how the qira'at came about. Is that you guys' understanding? Just to make sure I'm not strawmanning you guys.
Sir, if there's two Qurans, the same chapter, same verse, one verse says Allahu huwa al-ghaniyyul hamid, and the same different Quran, the same chapter, the same verse, it says Allahu al-ghaniyyul hakim. They dropped the letter who or the word who, which is a noun. Is that reading?
Okay,
Or is
now
that
I'm gonna give you.
did they change?
I'm gonna put you a challenge now. I challenge you to give me one ayah that's in one qira'at and not in one other. That's a challenge to you now. Bring me two qira'ats that have one ayah there and another ayah missing. I'm telling you now, you will not find it. So you're saying the different texts, they're different Qur'ans. It's impossible because they're all the same amount of ayahs, same surah, same everything. You won't find like in the KJV and there's difference in the text and the NIV and John first 5:7 and all. No, that's why I'm saying when they say variant readings, this is the correct understanding, and this is the asl, and this is the ijma' of the salaf and all the scholars. Bring me one ayah that's in one qira'at and not in another. That's a challenge to you.
Hold on, bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. I will bring it to you.
Okay, and my battery is 10%, so please, if I cut off, just know I'm not running away. It's because my battery
Sure,
is
no
low.
problem. Hey, but I'd like to say something. I forgot I was even on mute. I think he's not being addressed properly, okay, because you guys are talking about the ahruf and the kirat. Well, I'll give you an example. Chapter 2, verse 185. In the Hafs, Allah says that you should feed a poor person. In the Warsh, Allah says you should feed poor people, okay? So it's not the same meaning. It's not the same word. We have a problem when Muslims tell us that every single Quran, that I can go anywhere in the world, pick up a Quran, and it's exactly the same. Well, that's a fallacy because if I see one book and that book says to go and feed a poor person, and then I see another book that the Muslims read in Morocco, and their book says go feed poor people, how is people and person not different?
Yeah, any Muslim that makes that claim is wrong. I'm telling you now, it's recorded on video. Any Muslim that says each qira'at is exactly the same is wrong. They haven't educated themselves on the matter.
No.
I'm telling you right now.
You haven't read the Hafs then. I mean, this is well known.
Hello, we study the Hafs. What are you talking
No, you
about?
haven't. Well, you might have studied the Hafs, but I'm talking about if you compare the Hafs to the Warsh, and I have a book that's from a Muslim scholar from a Muslim organization that talks about the 10 Qirats. And I'm telling you that in Hafs, in chapter 2, verse 185, it says to feed a poor person. The Warsh says feed poor people. Are you telling me that a person and a people are the same word? There's another example, chapter 2, 140.
I think I'm with you. We're on the same team. I'm telling you that they're not the same. You're attacking the argument if they're the same. You're not paying attention to my argument. I'm telling you you're not. You're bringing me examples that they're not. I agree with you.
So you agree you have multiple Qurans then?
No, because they all fit into the same rasam.
No,
The
what
same
do you mean
exoskeleton.
no? One Quran.
Hold on. Let us get this and let us
Do you know what it is? I think this is an attempt to drop the Quran on the same level as the Bible, where you have some verses here in there, some verses there's no
Don't
verses.
even go there. Don't even go there.
We're not on the
Don't
same
even
level,
go
man. We're not on the same level.
Don't even go there. Here, listen, and you tell me if they are the same.
Have you brought one ayah that's in one qira'at and another ayah that's gone, that's not in that qira'at? Or that qira'ah? I'm telling you now, you're not going to find the verse. I'm telling you, you won't find a verse that's in one qira'ah and the other one is missing. I'm telling you now, you won't find it. You're just going to be You're going to be making us wait here all day long.
See,
So
you're
while we're
wrong
waiting,
because I just
while
gave
we're
you
waiting,
an example. Get a Hafs Quran, get a Warsh
do you know
Quran,
what an ayah
read chapter
is?
2, 185.
Do you know
They
what an
don't say
ayah
the same
is?
thing.
Do you know what an ayah is? I think this is the issue. You don't know what an ayah is. Do you know what an ayah is?
Yes, I
Yeah,
know
ayah is a
what-
verse. Chapter 2,
Okay.
verse 185. The Hafs and the Warsh, they don't say the same thing. One says feed a poor person, the other one says feed poor people. That is not the
That's a
same.
straw man. I never said
It is
that.
not a straw man. That is
Yes,
your
it is.
book.
Let me finish. I'll explain why it's a straw man. I said bring me one verse that's in one qira'ah and one verse that's not in it completely. I never said bring me one where there's differences. Straw man. You can't
It
attack
doesn't
my
matter.
argument. So
I'm
you
showing
attack
you
the
that
straw
you
man
have
argument.
different Qurans that are not identical. It is not a straw man
Again,
when
address
chapter 2,
my challenge.
verse 140 says,
Okay.
or do you say, and then the other book says, or do they say? How is that a straw man?
Again, attack my argument. I said
Two different
bring
verses.
verses that are missing. That's my challenge. I never.
No. I'm not talking about missing. You guys claim that every Quran is the
Okay, so
same.
you haven't.
ضعفين من العذاب والعنهم لعنا كثيرا.
I'm going to play it again. Pay attention.
ربنا آتهم ضعفين من العذاب والعنهم لعنا كثيرا.
Now pay attention to this one.
ربنا آتهم ضعفين من العذاب والعنهم لعنا كبيرا.
Again.
ربنا آتهم ضعفين من العذاب والعنهم لعنا كبيرا.
Are you telling me big and many are the same in meaning?
Again, I don't know, for the 100th time, I'm telling you there's difference between the qira'ah. You guys are correct in that.
You are
But
not.
I told you, let me speak.
You are not.
Let me speak. I let
You
you
are
speak.
not defining.
Why are you
what
cutting me
Qur'an
off?
means.
Okay, I'm
You
just going
are-
to continue speaking. Bring me
Well,
one verse that's missing. I challenge you.
Who is
Because they
talking
all
about
fit in the
missing?
Uthmanic Rasul.
Who
That's
is
a
talking
challenge.
about- Who is talking about missing? We're
Let
not.
me
That's
ask
my
you.
challenge to you guys. That's my challenge to you guys. If you can
Well,
make
we
that
don't
challenge,
have a
then we have different Qur'ans.
you're
You guys are
making
correct.
up. Okay, so you agree you guys have different Qurans.
No, I said I'll agree with you if you bring me a one verse that's in
No.
one
You're
Qur'an.
you're trying to run away from the fact you have different Qurans saying different things. Now you want us to say, I can show you a Muslim source that the scholars don't agree on how many verses were in the Quran. It's a Muslim source, Ibn Kathir.
Again, I'll address this for the millionth time. You guys are attacking a different argument. I'm not saying that.
No, sir. Nobody's attacking different argument. I asked you the question of this because you said they are carbon copy.
I never said that. I never said that. Wallahi al-Adim, I never said that. Wallahi al-Adim.
You agreed that there is more than one version of the Quran. That's what I'm getting.
I prefer the word, what do you call it?
It's a different
fine,
version.
You can say version. You can say version, no problem.
Oh, okay. So
I would never say
we agree.
Define.
There's no different Qur'ans. There's
Now,
modes.
define define when you say they are different readings. Define readings. What is the definition of the term readings?
When you have one text and you read it in multiple different ways. That's my understanding.
Okay, wait a second. When you have the same text, but you read it multiple ways. Now, when you read kathiran and you read kabiran, are you reading it different? Don't you see there's a change in words that they give different meanings?
You can read the Rasim in those 7 ways, the Uthmanic Rasim, correct? That's why there's 7 modes.
We're talking.
You can get the Rasim from Turkey, and you can read all 7 qira'ats on the same Rasim.
What you are talking about is what you are told, which is a lie. Because when you are talking about reading, like I told you about potato or tomato, if you have a sentence saying, I ate tomatoes yesterday, and somebody from the UK comes and read the same sentence in a different wording saying, I ate tomatoes yesterday, they are reading it differently. It's the same sentence read differently, but the meaning did not change. When you have one sentence, it says, I ate tomatoes yesterday, and there's another sentence that says, I ate potato. Are these readings? Are these different readings or different sentences?
Again, let's go. I think the definition's been flawed a little bit. I think you shifted it. So if I give you a rasm of an ayah and you read it in different ways, it's still the same text, right?
Okay, give me one. Give me an ayah.
Okay. Malik Yawmiddin.
Okay, Malik Yawmiddin. The other one says Maliki Yawmiddin. There is a difference in meaning. One says Malik, which means an owner, and the other one Maliki, which means a king.
You're correct. But one thing that you haven't understood is let me finish.
And the
they
word
both
Malik
sit in the same text, which makes them by definition multiple modes or multiple recitations.
They're not in the same text.
They fit in the same rasim.
They're not. What do you mean they fit in the same rasim? First of all, the word Malik is written wrong. The word Malik. The word Malik.
Get the Uthmanic rasim, and we'll have this discussion. You can read all. This is a challenge to anyone. You can read all 7 qira'at in the Uthmanic rasim. 100%. All 7 qira'at. And the scholars have done this.
You are repeating yourself without giving definition to what readings mean.
Reading again. This is the third time.
Different readings. When you are referring to different readings, it means the same sentence read in different ways, but the meaning and the words are the same. But when you have two sentences that they have 2 different words in them, they cannot be. They're read different. Their meaning is different. The whole structure of the sentence is different.
But if they fit in the same rasim, then they fall under the same sentence read in a different variant. You and I both know this. If one says Rabbul Yawmiddin and another one says Malik Yawmiddin, then you're sah 100%. Then I'm in the wrong.
How can
they can be all read into the rasim? That means therefore they're the same sentence read differently.
Can an owner be a king?
If I'm the owner of the England and the king of England, it's the same.
Wait a second. We're not talking. We don't work with if here. There is no if. We're talking with a fact. The Quran does not have if you are an owner. The Quran says the owner, and another Quran says the king. Can the owner be a king?
Okay, what is the definition?
Can the owner in one of the Quran be the same as Allah? Are you referring to Allah being an owner, or Allah is above being an owner? Where did he go?
Hey, since he stepped away, well, he did say his phone was going to die. But here's something that's very interesting. This is from Tafsir Qurtubi, right? How do I know how many verses are in the Quran? Let's read this. So it's talking about the number of ayats in the Quran. As for the final Medinian copy, let me go over here so I can read it. Okay, it says, as for the final Medinian copy, according to Ishmael Ibn, whatever his name is, it had 6,214 ayats. Okay, if we go further down, it says Al-Fadl said the number of ayats in the Quran, according to the Makkans, was 6,219. So now we got 6,214 verses, 6,219 verses. That is the number related by Salam and Al, whatever his name is, from Hamza. Al, whatever his name is, attributed to Ali. Ali Muhammad said the number of ayats in the Quran, according to the Basrans, was 6,204. So now we got 6,214, 6,219, 6,204. If we keep going on, 6,226, 6,225. Which of these is correct? So how do I know? You know, the argument of, well, show me one Quran that doesn't have 114 chapters. That is not that's not an issue. Oh, we got born Brandon 29. What about the Bible? We don't make the claims of the Bible that you guys make of the Quran. If you'd like to come on, I can give you the what do you call it? I can give you the backstage pass.
Born Brandon. Okay. What about the Bible? The Bible is corrupted. Put it on the side. Talk about the Quran.
Right. It's corrupted. Let's leave it alone.
I'll make it easier on you. The Bible is corrupted. Leave it on the shelf. Let's talk about the Quran.
Hey, he's gone, but I wanted to show him something. When they make this big deal about the hadiths and the isnads and the science of the hadiths, this is from Sahih Muslim, right?
Yeah.
Sahih Muslim 1654. It's talking about, now this is from Abu Hurairah, right? Talking about Solomon having sex with 60 wives, right?
Whoa.
The very next hadith, which is 1654b, right? It's from the same guy, Abu Hurairah. He heard the Prophet saying 70 wives. Okay, well, now we got 60 wives, we got 70. See what the next hadith says. That doesn't say much. But let's go to 1654d. Same guy, Abu Hurairah, 70 wives. So we got 60, 70, 70. So we're doing good. Now we go to same guy, Abu Hurairah, 1654e, 90 wives. So we got 60, 70, 70, 90, right? And these are not even in different chapters. These are all in the same book.
Man, I'm telling you, they're adding city tax, they're adding state tax, they're adding federal tax, and they're adding United Nations tax, and they're adding the word tax.
So how can I trust a hadith when I have 3 hadith and there's one that says 100, but I don't know where that one's at.
Okay, Kufarphobia. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a fellow brother of What Do Muslims Know. My name is Brother JC, and let me give you my additional opinion on that. All right, since you brought up those hadith numbers, the Kufarphobia, you know what I really see from these hadiths. Abu Huraira really got messed up big time. Like, just imagine this. Like, okay, I heard this. Solomon had sex with 60 wives, and then afterwards, I guess he was asked again. I think Solomon got sex with 70 wives. 70 wives again. And then afterwards, I guess when he was asked again, Solomon had sex with 90 wives. The Muslims couldn't see the messed up memory of Abu Huraira, because remember, Muslims love to claim every time that Muhammad got the book from heaven, something like that. But how come it's all about recitation? And look what happened at these hadiths. Muhammad's companions were very inconsistent, and some of them messed up big time when it comes to memorization, right? I can see I can see the mess up there. It's really funny, big time.
Well, I mean, Islam loves sex. So the more women, the more sex. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
He took pride in it. Okay, 60, 70, 90, 100. So it's like taking pride in it. That doesn't show that I mean, unless if you are stupid to forget what he said the first time, okay, you're gonna believe all this garbage. Now,
Exactly.
Born, are you a woman or are you a man? Born branded, are you a male or a female? Only idiots will go to Islam. In plain, simple English. You want to come aboard? Come on, let's have some fun. We still have room and we still have some time.
Oh boy, I had so much fun.
Unless if you are a woman and your voice is aura.
It's not even the hadiths that are confusing. I'm trying to pull up 86, 866. Let me see if I can find it.
Sure. The please do, Mr. Kufarphobia.
Okay.
Really love to.
I'm pretty sure you guys can. Let me see. I gotta blow it up because you can't see that.
Man, you're upsetting Luna. She hates Islam.
That's not Luna. Luna's sleeping.
Whose dog is that?
That ain't my dog.
I'll tell you, man, even the dog is upset now because of Islam.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm 80s. I'm gonna use Sahih. Okay. Can you guys see the screen now? Is it better?
No.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me see if I can blow it up some more.
Like you did the last time with the other one.
Let me see. Let me know when it gets better.
Just make it full screen.
There is no full screen on this thing well, let me see. Where is it? Full screen? Okay. Is that better? Yeah, but see, if I do full screen, then I can't do what I need to do because then.
Okay, now with your pointer, just point out what you want to say.
Yeah, but hold on a second. F11. Want to get
XYZ. God bless, bro. How you doing, man?
Shalom Aleichem, XYZ.
Okay. Now I can't get out of this darn thing. See what you did, man? F11. Okay, I'm touching F11. Oh, okay. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see it.
This is chapter 8. Let me see. Verse 65. And this verse, Allah's talking. O prophet, urge the believers to do battle. If there are among you 20 who are steadfast, they will overcome 200. If there are among you 100 who are steadfast, they will overcome 1,000. Okay, so basically, if we're talking math, that means 1 can defeat 10, right? 20, 200, 20 times 10 is 200. So you got, Allah is telling the Muslims, 1 Muslim can defeat 10 unbelievers. But if we go to the very next verse, which is verse 86, okay, Allah goes, now Allah has lightened the hardship for you, and he knows that among you is weakness. So if there are from you 100 who are steadfast, they will overcome 200. And if there are 1,000, they will overcome 2,000. So basically, Allah went from 1 guy can kick the ass of 10 guys to 1 guy can kick the ass of 2 guys because the Muslims were weak. How come Allah didn't know this already? I mean, it's also in the Quran. I mean, 2 verses back to back. In 1 verse, Allah tells the guys, hey, don't worry about it. One of you guys can take care of 10. They get their asses kicked. Allah comes back in the very next verse and says, no, hey, listen, I made a mistake. Okay, you guys are weak. It's 1 guy can defeat 2 guys. Now, is this God? or is this a person?
I think it is a person, this making himself a god.
Right. If you go into the hadith, I don't know if you're familiar. I don't remember off the top of my head. There's the hadith where Muhammad is receiving revelation that has to do with people going and committing jihad. While he's getting revelation, there's an old man, I guess, in the room or in the house, and the blind man goes to Muhammad, "Hey, what about me? I'm blind. I can't do jihad." All of a sudden, Muhammad gets a new revelation to include the blind man and those who are sick or lame. How come Allah didn't know this? Allah didn't know that the blind man was in a room? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Hey, Piers, good to see you. God bless you. I mean, Islam is built on quicksand. There's no logic. There's no reasoning. There's no critical thinking. You have to take your brain out and leave it at the door because it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. That's why I say, if you are an idiot, Islam and Quran will be clear to you.
Yeah, but see, this is the part that I have a hard time with. You have
But you're not an
people that
idiot.
are educated or should be educated.
No. There's a difference between being educated in a specific subject. Like, for example, Khalil, he's a doctor. He's smart in that. But when it comes to his religion, he's an idiot. So you can be smart in one, but idiot in another. And in Islam, you have to be an idiot for you to understand the Quran and to understand Islam. If you're not an idiot, you would not be a Muslim.
Well, I think one of the problems is lack of understanding of words, and the other problem is lack of actually doing research in the topic. That's why when Khalil in his videos was bringing up the Gospel of Barnabas and implying that it was somehow, credible, right? How come he doesn't know that the Gospel of Barnabas is a forgery from 1400? He is willing to accept, listen to this, he's willing to accept a book that's 1400 years after the fact. Now, if I did that in a debate with a Muslim, they would laugh me off the stage. They would say, whoa, wait a minute, you want us to accept a book that's 1400 years after the fact, but yet they will use the Gospel of Barnabas. They will use the book from the 6th.
Welcome back, Zakaria. We have Zakaria back.
Yeah.
Oh, is that who that is? Oh, okay. I guess he is
I got
called
myself
to.
a charger. I got myself a charger.
Okay. I mean, they will use a book from the 6th century AD that deals with Moses, who was like in the 1400 BC.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand it. I guess it would be blind faith. And I do understand that there is some faith involved in religion because we can't explain everything. But my understanding, Zechariah, is that you and I agreed that there are more than one version of the Quran. The Hafs and the Warsh are different versions.
I think we've spent 30 minutes on that. We're not going to get anywhere. It won't be fruitful.
No, we're not going back there. I just want to understand that you understand that there are different versions, that not all Qurans are the same, meaning they're not identical. They don't say the same thing. They're not word for words. Okay, I have no problems with the message being the same.
You can say modes. It depends what words you can use. But I would never say different Qurans. No, anyone who says that, they need to educate themselves on the qira'at and the manuscript.
But they are different.
Zakaria.
Listen, we're not getting to understand.
Zakaria, with all the respect, buddy.
I'm telling you, we're not going to get anywhere on this.
Listen for a second. Okay? If they are teaching you not to say they are different and you believing in that, there's a problem with you. Okay? You seem to be a smart person. And like I told you, the definition of different readings, meaning it's the same sentence read differently and it gives the same exact meaning. But when the sentence change and words change and the two sentences are giving two different meanings, that is not reading.
Yeah.
Simple as
We're
that.
not going to get... Listen, Akhi, I'm telling you this just like out of respect. We won't get anywhere with this discussion. We've hit a brick wall. It won't be fruitful. So I might as well address the later claims. You have your opinion. I have my opinion. We'll just leave it at that.
We're not talking opinions, buddy. We're not talking opinions. We're talking facts.
100%.
When
100%.
you heard it, one version says عذابا كثيرا, the other one says عذابا كبيرا. There is a difference in meaning.
We're not going to get anywhere with this. I've already told you, right, that both words in any qira'ah can be read into the Uthmanic Rasm. Do you know what a Rasm is?
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You don't care about what's written. You care what you personally believe.
No. Do you know what the Rasm is? First, we need a definition of the Rasm. The Rasm is a skeleton.
You're talking about the drawing of the letters?
Naam.
Okay, what does this have to do with the word kathir and kabir?
Because both words can be read into the Rasm. Sah? Tell me I'm lying. All of the scholars are ijma' on this. If we get the Uthmanic Rasm, every qira'ah can be read into the Rasm.
Okay,
Am I lying?
What about the verse that says Allahu huwa al-ghaniyyul hamid, and the other one that says Allahu al-ghaniyyul hamid without the noun huwa? The word is taken out completely. Is that rasm as well?
Again, we can look into this. If we bring the Rasm and we look at the specific passage on that, this is not going to be fruitful. I'm telling you now, we're not going to get anywhere.
Here is another question for you to make it clear for you. When the Quran,
we're not going to get anywhere.
When the Quran was revealed, okay, how was it revealed? Can you explain that?
In Aslan, like in the beginning, it was one qira'ah. Then the people requested
No.
I'm not
talking about how it was read. I asked how it was revealed.
Okay, in multiple qira'at.
So Jibreel came to Muhammad twice, and Surah Al-Fatiha, for example, he told him Malik Yawmiddin. He went back to Allah, came down and told him Malik Yawmiddin.
Sah.
He came twice to Muhammad every time when there's a changes in words.
Well, presumably he would have come already once, and he would have had Malik and Malik, and Khatam and Khatam.
Where is the proof of that?
Again, this is metaphysics. You can't put metaphysics under the microscope.
Okay.
If I tell you, how do we know you have a ruh? Wait, let me finish. How do we know you have a ruh? How do you know you have a soul? We can't put it under the microscope.
Well,
but we know the ruh is there, sah?
God told me I have a spirit.
Okay, so we're in consensus.
That's how I know.
Okay, so the debate turns to now. How do you know what God told you is the truth? How do you not know Satan?
Because I know God doesn't lie.
Are you a Christian?
It's irrelevant. I'm a human being who believes in God.
I need to understand your concept of God if we can move forward.
God, in what one aspect, I mean, you understand the concept of God. God is perfect in everything.
Yeah.
God existed before, middle, and after. God is omnipresent. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere, including the bathroom. God is unlimited. God is unlimited.
Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is, you said God doesn't lie, God doesn't deceive, sir?
Yes.
So if I bring you verses where God deceives in the Bible, will you retract that statement?
Wait a second. Do you believe?
Why are you running now?
I'm not humming. Do you believe in the Bible?
No.
Do you accept the Bible to be the word of God?
No.
Do you believe that the Bible is uncorrupted?
No.
So if you're going to bring me any verses from the Bible, they're going to be corrupted. What's the point of bringing them? You don't believe in the Bible, you don't believe it's the word of God, and you believe it's corrupted. So bring me evidence from a corrupted verse, from corrupted book, your evidence is corrupted. Next. What does the Bible have to do with the Quran? proving that the Bible is false. Does that prove the Quran is correct?
Hey, those are some good points. I forgot I was muted.
Let me see if he's going to answer. I guess
Somebody's
there's
got a
no
rooster.
answer. I guess there's no answer. Go ahead, Kufar.
Well, no, I was just going to ask him. I think I heard him say something about how do we know the Bible is the words of God? Okay, how does he know that the Quran is the words of Allah? Where is his proof? We got more proof than he does because the Bible has what, 39, 40 eyewitnesses, meaning it was written by more than one person. The Quran is eyewitness by one person, which is Muhammad, which according to the Islamic sources, Muhammad had black magic done to him. He forgot to take his 7 Ajwa dates, right? He imagined doing things. How do I know he didn't imagine some of those verses? He forgot verses, right? Because he had to be reminded, oh, so-and-so reminded me. He got revelation from ringing bells, which I still don't understand what that means. Because
to add to that, Muhammad wore his Aisha's underwear, and by him wearing her underwear, he got revelations.
Okay, how about this one? I have a good one. How about this one? How about Muhammad receive a revelation by snoring like a camel?
I haven't heard of that one.
So what I've told you is, why do you believe the Bible is true? And you've just jumped straight into the Quran. Whether Islam is false or not has nothing to do with the Bible. Islam could be false. That doesn't make Christianity true. So what you guys
absolutely
you need to prove Christianity in the right.
Absolutely, that makes Christianity true. That makes Christianity true.
Bring your proof that Christianity is true.
I don't have to prove nothing. First of all, nobody's asking you to become a Christian.
Here is the problem that I see here with his argument. Prove that Christianity is true. And I agree. If Christianity is false, it doesn't make Islam true, which I'm assuming is what he's getting at. But the thing is that Christians don't make the same claims that Muslims make about the Quran. Hey, Jai,
you're not dealing with what you hear Muslims say on the street. You're dealing with Zakaria. You're dealing with me. I don't care what other Muslims say. Me and you.
Okay, do you believe the Quran is perfect? That it has no errors, no contradictions, and that it's the literal word of Allah?
Of course.
Okay, hold on.
How would you prove it?
Hold on. I'm gonna go along with him. Is the word of Allah eternal?
Yes.
Is Allah eternal?
Yes.
Allah and His word are one. Yes or no?
Well, the word of Allah is an attribute of Allah.
Wait a second. Pay attention to the question. The words of Allah are eternal. Yes or no? You said yes.
Yes.
Allah is eternal. Yes. Is Allah and His word one? Yes or no?
No.
So
no.
you are
an attribute.
You are
it's an attribute.
You are mushrik, sir. You know why? Let me finish.
Are you okay?
Hold on a second. Let me finish. You can't have two eternals. And you believe in two eternals. You believe in Allah and you believe in His Quran. You are believing in two eternals. You are mushrik. You ashraked Allah ma'al Quran.
Okay. I'm going to deal with your claim now. Let's use me as an example. Is Zakaria makhluk? Is Zakaria created?
You are not Allah. You are not Allah.
Wait. Let me finish.
You are born.
Why is he cutting me off? This is supposed to be a dialogue.
Dialogue, that means when you say something wrong, I have the right to cut you off and correct you. You are not created. You are born. Do you know the difference between being born and being created?
Did Allah not create me?
I'm not talking about Allah. I'm talking about you. Are you being created or are you being born?
It's the same thing. If you believe in God,
it's not the same. Creation, you create something from nothing. Born, that means that something exists and you came from it. Adam was created from nothing, from dirt. You were born because of your father and your mother.
Do you believe in God first?
Yes, I believe in God.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Now, you believe that God created all of us, no? Otherwise, you're rejecting one of Allah's sifat now.
Allah did
That
not
makes you a
create,
kafir.
Allah did not create all of us. Allah created Adam and Eve. From Adam and Eve, we were born.
Is this the
And
consensus of
remember,
Christianity? I didn't know.
Zachariah. Remember, we don't have the same God. Your Allah is not the same as our God either. So don't
100%. I'm with you.
so you see you're trying to force your Allah on us. We don't
No,
have the
but there's
same.
some basic
No,
principles
listen
that we both share. We both
listen
share.
very carefully. Listen very carefully. I know the tactics of you Muslims. You're trying to force on us that your Allah is the same as ours.
No,
we don't.
no one's doing
No, we
that.
don't.
No
No,
one's
we
doing
don't
that.
have. No, we
I'm
don't.
saying
We don't have the
we
same God.
share simple
Don't have
principles.
the same God.
Some might be
Don't
different, but oh my God, some
don't
principles
force
are the same.
your
Some
Allah on
principles are
us.
different. No one's forcing.
Don't force on us your Allah. We don't have
Why
the same
is
God, right?
hello? No one forced anything on you. You're paranoid.
No,
I'm
no,
saying,
no.
do
You're
you
lying.
affirm God is one?
You are
Do you
lying.
affirm God? Do you affirm God is one?
You are lying to me. You are lying to me.
So God
you
is
are,
not one.
I can see that you are I can see that you are trying to force your Allah on us.
No,
Don't
I'm
force
not.
your Allah.
Wallahi uqsam
Don't
Okay.
force
billahi
it.
al-azim, I'm not.
Don't
Your
say
Allah,
wallahi
your
on me.
Allah
Don't
is
say
not.
wallahi on me. Don't
I
do that
swear
on
by
me.
God. I
Brother,
swear
hold
by
on.
God. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Zakaria, your Allah is
Yeah.
not one. Your Allah is one of. Allahu
No, but
Ahad.
do you,
Allahu Ahad means he's one of.
la 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 la. What is the ma'na of ahad? What is the
Okay.
ma'na of ahad?
وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفْءٌ أَحَدٌ. What does that mean?
Listen, okay, no. But
No,
you
tell me
know
what that,
in
tell
Lughat
me what does
al-Arabi,
that mean?
wait. You know in Lughat al-Arabi better than anyone in this chat right now, one word can have multiple ma'na. If you
Sir,
go to
again,
Shakespeare, listen.
don't play that game.
If you go,
Don't play
I'm not
that
playing that
game.
game.
Okay,
What is the ma'na of
when you
daraba?
say
Daraba can
Zakaria,
mean to hit. Daraba can mean parable.
we're
Daraba
not
can mean
talking about
touch.
daraba. We're talking about the word ahad. If I say Zakaria ahad, ahad what?
But you, Lakin, you know that every dictionary says ahad has multiple ma'nas.
There is no dictionary that says multiple ones. It says ahad means one of many. What is the feminine of ahad?
You tell us.
No, you tell me, since you know what ahad means one, you tell me.
I said go to a dictionary. I never said come to Zakaria. I said go to the dictionary.
Sir, ahad means one of. Because can you tell me وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفْءًا أَحَدٌ? What does the word ahad means in that verse?
Okay, we're gonna go to a dictionary right now just to see.
Tell me what does that word mean? لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفْءًا أَحَدٌ. What does that word?
It does in that context. In that context, it means one of. I won't like.
It means minus one. That means nobody like him. That means no one.
Yes, I know.
No one and one, that means zero. That means ahad is not one.
Okay, fine.
Because one means wahad. Wahad means one. Ahad means one of. And you try to take it off the Hebrew, which is ahad. Ahad means one of. And you translate it to Arabic name ahad. Ahad and ahad are two different words.
Okay, so I've gone to a dictionary right now, almani.com. Ahad can mean unique. It can mean only. It can mean sharpen, actually. It has multiple meanings.
Where does it
There's
say
hundreds.
one? Where does it say it means wahad?
Suk. You just wait. Take your time, akhi. Take your time.
No, you take your time.
It's endless. Okay. I'm scrolling right now. Ahad can mean, hold on, to make into one. That's the original meaning. The asl of ahad. I can show you right here. Can you let me share my screen?
Sure you can.
Okay. How do I share my screen?
Who's the expert on this? Jai, you're on. Teach him how to share.
One second. I think I can. No, it doesn't let me. Yeah.
We're still waiting.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Sure we can.
Okay, sorry, I thought I was talking earlier, but my mic wasn't on. I was saying Kufar needs to come back in order to let him share his screen. Once you guys are done with your topic, though, I want to go back. I want to revisit the topic of the different readings of the Quran.
No, talk about the word ahad.
Okay, we can talk about Ahad. Are you there, Zakaria? Is he still here? He left?
I think so. You left.
I can't see who's here or who's not here.
Yeah, he left.
Oh, he left. Okay.
Or he dropped.
All right.
I gotta take. I gotta. Why
He
did
said you.
kick
He said you kicked me off.
1, 2, 3, 4. No, I shouldn't be kicked off. I got room for 6. Let me give him the link again.
All right. Once we finish Ahad, I want to go back to this topic of the different readings, though.
Okay, let me see.
Because
if
he
comes
made
on
a
while I'm still
number.
here.
Okay.
No, he has been booted. Okay, add to stream. Okay, he's on the
What the
stream.
hell happened? Yeah, but what I wanted to tell you is that Ahad doesn't necessarily mean one. Also, if you go to the last ayah of Surah Al-Kahf, what does it say? قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد. Case closed. And you have this phrase used all across the Quran. إله واحد. Now, are you going to tell me that doesn't mean one God?
Ilahun wahad means one. Ahad and wahad are two different words, two different meanings.
But I just showed you like a clear-cut ayah that you can't change the meaning. The last ayah of Surah Al-Kahf, chapter 18, it says, إلهكم إله واحد. That
Wahid.
doesn't mean one of a type.
Wahid.
That means
Does wahid means ahad? Ahad what?
Ahad
Ahad
means
what?
one and only. I read it from almali.com.
Never mind, man. Jai, you have Jai, brother Jai. He'll be with
Okay.
you on those issues.
Yeah. Okay, Zachariah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So earlier you were talking about the different readings of the Quran. Can you restate, just summary your position on that?
We're not going to get anywhere with this. I'll just state my position. My
Yeah, go
position
ahead.
is that there are multiple modes to recite the Quran. However, they are both the same. What do you call it, Quran? Because they can be read from the same rasm. That's my understanding. You guys say that's different Qurans. That's your opinion.
Okay. Can you see the screen right now?
Okay. Why do you guys love this topic? It's like any other topic you don't want to go to.
Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. So, what's the difference between these two?
Hold on. So Allahu huwa al-ghaniyyun and Allahu al-ghani.
Yes. So if you go, so which rasm are we going to go to? The one that says huwa or the one without huwa?
I honestly don't know about that. We can bring the rasm and we'll see what it says. We can see what it says. But there have been scholars that have done this, and I can reference these. What do you call it? Muslim and non-Muslim Quranic scholars in Turkey, and they've all said that 7 qira'ats can be read into. And they've given the carbon dating and
What
everything.
7 qira'ats? Are you thinking? Do you think the ahruf are the qira'at?
I've heard some scholars say, like, I can't remember who it was. Do you know Uthman ibn Farouk? You guys hate him. I know you guys hate him. But he made a video. He essentially said that I think qira'at means reading, but ahruf means like a different way of reading a word. Or so he went to the linguistics and he essentially said it's the same thing. And he made a video on this.
Okay, so they are the same thing. So how come you have? Okay, but what do you say though? Because earlier you said you're not talking to Muslims on the street. You're talking to Zakaria.
I'm ignorant on this.
You're ignorant on this.
I don't know this inside out. I'm not claiming to be knowledgeable.
Okay, so let me tell you this: the position that you stated earlier, like that what you thought this consensus was not actually the case. In fact, the early Muslims didn't hold the view that you hold to right now. The early Muslims believed that out of the different qira'at, out of the different readings, some readings were better, more superior, more correct than other readings.
Okay.
So
You made a claim now. Can you please substantiate it?
yeah, okay, I heard you reciting in Arabic earlier. I assume you know Arabic.
No. My Arabic's very, very basic. I'm not an Arab.
Okay, so well, the source is in Arabic though. So if you can see the screen right now, basically, this is the Tabari for chapter 1 verse 4. So this is the one you guys were talking about earlier, Maliki Yawmiddin versus Maliki Yawmiddin. And he's citing a scholar, Abu Ja'far, and he says that out of the two readings, the one that is as-sah, means more correct, the more accurate reading, is the reading Malik. Why? He gives the reason. He says that because if you are an owner, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a king. But if you're a king, you're necessarily an owner. So the early Muslims argued that some of the qira'at... Huh? Abu Ja'far. Well,
How do I know this guy's... What denominations? What shi'os?
Okay, this is... Okay, so this is At-Tabari quoting him. I'm sure you know At-Tabari is like the commentator of all commentators for Islam, right? Okay, so that's all you need to worry about. This is At-Tabari. At-Tabari is citing him, and he's saying that he's giving you the position of the early Muslims, and he's saying basically that they didn't have this position that all of these readings, all of these qira'at that we have today are all equally the word of God. They would argue some are more superior than others, some are weaker than others. It'd be like the equivalent for a Christian to say the Gospel of John is stronger or more authentic than the Gospel of Mark. We would never say that because we believe that they're both inspired, they're both the word of God. So if these were viewed as the word of God by the early Muslims, why would they say things like this reading is stronger or more authentic than the other reading?
You've heard the hadith where Umar ibn Khattab and someone else was reciting a different qira'ah of Surah, I think Furqan, chapter 25.
Not a different qira'ah. Not a different qira'ah.
No. And Umar ibn Khattab, he took the guy, he dragged him, and you already know this hadith. Not only this.
This is about the 7 ahruf though. Not about qira'at.
7 qira'at and 7 ahruf, what's the difference? I already quoted to you Uthman ibn Farouk, who's got PhDs and he studied under multiple scholars. He said they're essentially the same thing.
I mean, I can quote you multiple scholars that tell you that they're not the same thing. I mean, there was a sheikh who after Muhammad Hijab had that interview, the deleted interview with Yasir Qadi, he brought someone else on to try to clean up, and this interview is still on his channel. And this sheikh that he brought on his channel said that the only reason why people confuse the ahruf with the qira'at are like 7 and 7 because one of the first compilations said that there were 7 different qira'at, 7 different readings. So people thought, okay, 7 ahruf, 7 qira'at. They confused them. But that's why you have other scholars say there's actually like 10. They're like al-qira'at al-ashr, the 10 readings. So they're not the same thing.
But I've heard the opinion that the reason why most people stick to 7 is because they put the boundary high. Because some make it 11 to the maximum and something. But the 7 the 7
okay, go ahead.
that most people agree upon, they say we can 100% authentically prove this. The other 4 is dubious. That's the claim that I've heard.
Okay.
And to be honest, I wouldn't. That's how Muslims work. When we're taking our deen, like our creed, the foundation, we say we have to put the bar high. If someone says what color was Muhammad's hair, then it doesn't necessarily have to be as high because that's not my creed. Do you understand?
Okay. So I'm sure you know. It sounds like you're familiar with the Muslim apologists and all these guys on YouTube. So you mentioned Uthman. So I'm sure you know Farid. I don't know what you think about him. He was saying on a stream on this very topic, that you can have basically an unlimited amount of readings. In fact, Muhammad Hijab said this as well, that you can have an almost unlimited amount of readings. He's saying if you wanted to create a reading today, you could take some from Hafs, some from Warish, mix them together, and then it would be the reading of Zakaria. So this, so it's not just a cutoff or a limit at 7 or 11 or anything like that. According to Muslims, you can have an unlimited amount of readings.
Yeah, but who said they're sah? Who said that they're correct?
Oh, okay, well, I mean, you said that you're not an expert on the topic, so it's not really use debating you on it. But
Yeah, no, but you take any Muslim knows you take your Quran, your deen from Quran and authentic Sunnah. I'm not gonna listen to what Bob, Dick, and Harry has to say down the road, am I?
okay, well, you said it, Uthman earlier, Uthman ibn Farouk. So I mean,
Yeah,
who is he? He's a Bob, Dick, and
What
Harry.
he said was he quoted the Quran, he quoted the hadith about Surah Al-Furqan and Umar ibn Khattab, and he appealed to the early scholars. You brought me a statement from Farid.
There's nothing in the hadith. There's nothing in the hadith about qira'at though. What you're confusing is the fact that it mentions ahruf. Ahruf are not equal to qira'at.
But he said it's the same thing, and he must have quoted scholars. Wallahu a'lam.
Yeah, one opinion is that when Uthman burnt the copies of the Quran, that he burnt 6 of the ahruf and only kept 1. That's one opinion. Another opinion is that the ahruf, combining them together, make these different qira'at. There's not a consensus. Do you know that there's over 40 opinions on what ahruf means? You want to talk about scholars? Jalaluddin as-Suyuti said that there are over 40 opinions for what for what ahruf means. So there's no consensus on it.
No problem. But what's your understanding on the origin of the qira'at and the ahruf?
I mean, my understanding is that they arise by people looking at manuscripts, and you might be able to say a word one way or another way. They can both make sense. So for example, earlier you guys were talking about the word kathira or kabira. There's only the difference between, do you put the dots above the letter or one dot below the letter? So you can read it either way. So for me, when I look at it, I think that's how the differences arose. People are looking at the manuscripts and they want to place the dots on them. You can read them in different ways. But for you as a Muslim,
but the issue with that is, you know about the letters beginning with most of the surahs, Alif, Lam, Mim, Taha, all of this. Every single qira'ah, when you recite it, and this is a challenge to anyone to disprove me on this, they all say Taha, no one disagrees on Taha, all of the letters are the same. Now, if I bring you, let's just do one letter, Qaf, you can do that as Fa. If I bring you Sad, someone can do that as Dad. Now imagine I bring you Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad. Why were the Muslims in consensus over this? Complete consensus. If they were confused over the manuscripts, one guy would have said it's Dad. No? You have hundreds of different combinations just with Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad.
Yeah, so if we look, so what you're talking, no, because what you're talking about is there are different canonizations here we're talking about now. So you have the standard qira'at, so that let's say there are 10 of them that are accepted. Each qira'ah has 2 narrators, or rawi. So there's like 20, and then there's an extra one, a tariq of someone else. That's the Sunni. Those are the ones that the Sunni Muslims accept. There are other readings called shadh or shawaz, which means irregular or anomalies, which are not printed, but they're written about in books. So we can look at up to 18 different readings of how to read Maliki Yawmiddin. Those are just 2 of the canonized Sunni versions. But if we go to the books of the Qira'at, the uncanonized version or the non-canonized version, we'll see that there are up to 18 ways to read this one word. So if we go to those verses that you were talking about with the cut letter, the letters, like individual letters, maybe they are read different ways. I mean, this is possible.
You they're not. We've done research on this. You won't.
I mean, you're telling me that they're not doesn't really assure me of anything, because you said earlier you're ignorant on the topic.
Okay, this is a challenge. Go cross-reference all of them. You claim that there's how many? 11 plus a few more anomalies. Go to all of them.
I'm talking about, I was saying there's up to 18 differences for one word. One word.
So go to the first. I'll give you an easy one. Dad or Sad. Find if one of them says Dad.
Okay. So what?
Like
So what you're what are you actually trying to argue for? You're trying to argue that.
I'm trying to argue that if what your hypothesis is 100% true,
Uh-huh.
then how is it everyone is in consensus over these letters in the beginning, which wouldn't change the meaning? If anything, you would want to change these words if you're going to go back in time and have a difference over anything. However, everyone's mysteriously in consensus.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense.
So who told you that they're in consensus? I just told you that there are whole encyclopedias of different readings.
No, I said the first letters, alif, lam, mim, kaf, ha, ya, ain, sad, all of that, alif,
Yeah.
lam, ra.
Okay, so let's go back to the point then. So what you're saying is that all of these different readings, do you believe they're all inspired? Is that what your position is?
That's my understanding.
Okay. So if they're all inspired, then we're going to go back to the original question. How is it that At-Tabari said, or he's quoting a scholar here, and he's saying that one reading is more superior, which means the other reading is more inferior?
Okay. So
If they're all inspired.
At-Tabari quoting someone doesn't necessarily make it right. In no way. Let me give you an example. The famous example about Paul in the Quran, when you go to Surah Yasin, إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون. This verse, thingy, Christian Prince, he went to I think it was At-Tabari. He was quoting.
No, it wasn't At-Tabari.
Whatever exegete it was.
I can give you like, yeah, I can give you like 23 different sources for that, all from different Muslim scholars.
But what did the exegete do? He later on refuted him after quoting him. Am I lying?
No, you're talking about one particular reading, but we have other ones from Ibn Kathir. I can show you. Like you're changing the topic now to whether Paul is a messenger. So
an exegete quoting something doesn't
yeah,
necessarily.
there's not disagreement on this though. That's what I'm saying. There's not disagreement on this. You can't cite me a scholar who said. Well, actually, try to do that. Cite a scholar who said something otherwise. Then, give me another opinion from early Muslim scholars.
Again, you've made a claim. The burden of proof is on you.
Yeah, I'm giving you evidence. I'm giving you evidence, and you're saying that the evidence shouldn't be trusted. No, this is the evidence on the screen. This is the evidence.
I just gave you my criterion at the beginning. I said I take my creed from Quran and authentic Sunnah. You've gone to some random exegete quoting.
Okay, At-Tabari is not. He's not random.
He's not random, but he's quoting some exegete, quoting some other guy. I don't take my creed from that. You know that.
Well, I don't know that because I don't think you really know Islam too well. Because you don't even know who you don't even know who Abu Ja'far is. So we're talking about the. Anyway, so this topic is not one we can really get anywhere on because.
Who is this guy?
Okay.
Well, I was just quoting all these giants, Imam Malik. You're quoting to me who? Abu Ja'far?
Yeah, At-Tabari is. You think At-Tabari is dumb or something?
No, I've never said that At-Tabari.
So why is he quoting to you Abu Ja'far?
I've given you an example of someone quoting someone. It doesn't mean that what they say is what they believe. I've given you the example of Paul in the Quran, allegedly.
No, because what you're saying isn't even true. What you're saying, what you're saying is not true about Paul in the Quran. The statements you're making are not true. But I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to shift the topic now.
No, I haven't switched the topic. I've given you an example of someone quoting an exegete quoting someone and refuting them straight afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, you're wrong about that.
So bring the reference then. Let's go.
You're the one who just brought it up. Why would I bring the reference that you just brought up? So let's stick to this, and you can tell me why Abu Ja'far is wrong. Where did Abu Ja'far get this idea from? Where did he get this idea from? Where did he get this idea from? Okay, where did At-Tabari get this idea to quote Abu Ja'far from? Like, why would he quote him? Why is he going to use him as an authority?
I don't know. He could be refuting him.
He's not refuting him.
Here's an opinion that someone has. I might not agree with it. I might disagree.
No, he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that. He just lists the opinion.
Okay, he just lists the opinion. Did he assert that it's the truth?
This is the position. This is the position of the early Muslims. If you want scholars who say that, I can give you scholars who say that. I can give you scholars who say that.
You've given me a position of a scholar.
Yeah, and I can give you modern scholars.
You said that Muslims. I want consensus. I want consensus.
Yeah, this is representative of the early Muslim view. And if you don't believe me, I can quote you modern Muslim scholars, like Yasir Qadi, for example, who says the exact same thing, that this is the position of the early Muslims, the ancient Muslims.
Yasir Qadhi, when he made these claims, he never quoted any hadith or anything. I don't
Yes, he
blindly
did.
follow scholars.
Yes, he did follow the hadith.
No,
What are
he
you talking
didn't.
about? Yes, he did. He quoted the hadith that you quoted
before
earlier
in the
about
narrative,
Ubay.
I need advanced students of knowledge and I need scholars, and then I'll explain myself.
Yeah,
I'm
and he
not
quoted the
Muhammad
hadith.
Mustafa.
He quoted the
Which
hadith. He quoted the one with Ubay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. Yeah, he quoted the hadith with Ubay,
Bro, I
and he
watched
gave
that
the
video.
story. Okay, I can pull it up for you right now. He gave the hadith with Ubay. I mean, I can pull it up right now. I can pull it up right now.
Let's remind ourselves, this is the same guy who's been on record to say hudud and sharia punishments are just there to scare the people and you don't necessarily need to follow it. Should I be honest now? As an unbiased person, do you think he's representative of the default position of Islam? Don't lie, you're on camera.
Okay,
Is this
let me show you. Let me show it to you.
You haven't
show it
even
to you.
answered my question. You've just completely disregarded
Let me
it
show
and
it to
swept
you.
it away.
What
Are you
is
listening to
Alright,
me?
hold on.
position in
Yeah,
Are
listen,
you
listen,
listening to
listen.
me?
Quran directly.
Listen, listen.
What the hell is
Ubay
wrong
is
with
not
this guy?
some
Listen,
even average
listen.
Sahabi. He
Listen.
that when you're the beginning
Listen.
student of knowledge, you're like, what is all of this going on here? When you go a little bit more, you learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out, and you don't fully comprehend. When you do a deep dive is when things get very, very awkward and difficult. And this isn't new. This is from the time of the Sahaba. In the Sahih or the Hasan hadith of Ubay bin Ka'b, the hadith of the Ahruf, that when the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the issue of Ahruf, and that there are different Ahruf and whatnot, this is in the version of Muslim Imam Ahmad, Ubay bin Ka'b says, authentic hadith, فَدَخَلَ فِي نَفْسِي شَكٍّ. In my heart a doubt came that I hadn't had about Islam since the days of Jahiliyyah. This is not a joke, brothers and sisters. The issue of Ahruf and Qira'at caused confusion to somebody whom the Prophet ﷺ said, if you want to listen to the Quran directly, listen to Ubay. Ubay is not some even average Sahabi. He is the Qari of the Quran. He is the master. He is who he is. And he goes, فَدَخَلْ فِي نَفْسِي شَكٍّ. What is all of this stuff? And the Prophet put his hand, and then he goes, it all went away. Ya akhi, me and you, we don't have that blessing, do we? Me and you don't have that blessing. Now, again, this is you were asking some very honest question. This is the first time I'm saying these things. Many people are aware who listen to my lectures.
Okay, so that's the first point. Did he or did he not cite a hadith?
Yeah, he cited a hadith.
Okay,
It's
so
just-
you're wrong about
I'm
that
looking at it
point.
right now, and I'm looking at the hadith. Right? Where's the hadith? So he said Musnad Ahmad, right?
Well, I think it's narrated in a few different books.
No,
the
but
one-
he said a specific. Do you know when a hadith is narrated, you have different books and the wording
Yeah.
is slightly changed.
Yeah, the wording is slightly different. For
So
دخل
he
النفس.
cited one specific wording. So
Yeah,
let's look at that
so
hadith.
okay, so we can pull that one up in particular. We can pull it
I'm
up
trying
here.
to find it right now.
Okay.
I think I found it. No. Yeah, it's
Entered.
in Musnad Ahmed 20,736 apparently. Maybe that's the time.
I'm not sure how they spell obey on this website. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Okay, I think I have it here. Okay, I got it here. All
What's the
right.
reference?
I'm not sure if this is the one that he was citing, but this is on the topic.
What's the reference?
It's in Al-Bukhari, 24:19. I heard Hisham bin Hakim reciting. This is the one you were talking about earlier. Sort of.
Book
Okay.
24, you saying? Book 24.
Book 44,
Book of Zakat.
Hadith 9. Yeah, book 44, Hadith number 9. This is not the one he was citing though, but this is on the topic.
Okay, let's.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, I'm just trying to find this other hadith real quick. But yeah, feel free to jump in.
No, I'm not quite sure what you guys are doing, but me and Zechariah, we agree there are different versions of the Quran that don't say the same thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay, so
You know, I find it strange that Jabril would come down 7 times and say the same verse in 7 different ways. I mean, it sounds asinine because it is.
Where? No, but you give me a hadith where it says 7 times he went up and down.
mhm.
You won't find it. It's gonna be
Okay,
Fajr
well,
soon.
let's say he
It's
came
like
down
2
one
o'clock.
time and he repeated each verse 7 times, right? There's 7. There's 7, or is it 10? Because there's 10 reciters or 10 readers or whatever they call them.
Wait a
So let's just
second.
go with 7.
Wait a second. Isn't he the one who said yes? He came multiple times.
I think he
No,
did.
not multiple
That
times. Each
Jibreel was
qira'ah went
telling
up and
Muhammad
down.
the
Get
same
out.
verse
No,
10
of
times,
course not.
multiple times. You're the
It's
one
gonna
who
be
said
Fajr
that.
soon. It's gonna be Fajr soon. I'm gonna have to pray soon.
Zachariah, you're the one who said that when I asked you that Jibreel came to Muhammad twice and told him the verse twice differently, you said yes. Now you're denying
Yeah,
all
no,
this?
but la. I never said that he went up and down, up and down, up and down, getting each qira'ah with Malik Yawmiddin,
Never
Malik
mind.
Yawmiddin. No, I never said that. Okay. I can't find this hadith in Musnad Ahmad. Maybe he misquoted it. I don't know. But anyway, we could have had a way more fruitful discussion. Why are we being bogged down on this one point?
Well, it's because what you were saying wasn't true, and what you were saying was the consensus wasn't the consensus.
Well, to be honest, you're right. I have no proof of that, but I'm gonna have to go home and study that. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not a scholar on this.
Okay,
I'm
can you?
ignorant on this topic.
Yeah, can you let Adam on Kufar?
Oh, okay,
Shall I?
sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead, brother Adam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, 6.
Hey,
Hi.
Adam Seeker, nice to see you again.
Hey, how are you guys? Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome, brother. If you want to share your screen, I just closed mine, so feel free.
Yeah, I would like to do that because there are so many talks that was happening. And by the way, you shared the hadith. It clearly says kira, not kira. Basically, it clearly says ahruf in the Arabic. So that's point number 1 to begin with. Now, when we talk about Malik and Malik, that kind of chalo, I will give this point that it is the same in a way. It looks the same. It kind of give you a similar kind of a meaning as well. But in Surah 3, verse number 146, let me open Quran Surah 3, verse number 146. You know what's the biggest problem over here? All right, I have shared my screen. Can you please add it? Somebody has to add the screen. Okay, so here the word is katala, right? Everyone there?
Yeah, and by the way, I just sent you a link if you want to share this one, so it
Yeah,
shows both the
yeah.
differences.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that later for now. So it's katala, right? What does this mean? They fought. How many devoted fought along with their prophets and never flattered, despite whatever losses they suffer in this cause of Allah? You know, the major problem over here is that when we use God, so Nabi, a prophet, fought with him, right? Fought. How many? From a prophet fought. Is our brother over here still?
yes.
Is that okay?
Okay. So in the Varsh version, it says Kutila. The basic difference is not even Ahruf right now. Ahruf are the alphabets, and you know that very well. And the hadith that I just showed you, it says Allah in Al Quran, unzila ala sab'atin ahruf. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari. You cannot go anything better than Sahih al-Bukhari. This is the most earliest written ahadith. If you will give me
No,
Mishkat,
it's not.
if you will give me something else, they are written much later. Please prove me wrong if anything else is written earlier than Bukhari when it comes to ahadith.
Again, I said this a few ages ago. The Musnad, oh sorry, the Muwatta of Imam Malik is written in 93 Hijri.
So there is not a single book that has been written before Sahih al-Bukhari. Can you please give me the evidence of what you are saying? I'm waiting. I'll wait for 10,000 years for you to give me the evidence that you have a book before Bukhari for ahadith. Okay. So
I just gave you a book. You can literally cross-reference this, check any history book you want.
my
The Muwatta
friend,
of Imam Malik
my
was written
friend,
in
my
93
friend,
Hijri.
saying something has nothing to do with evidence. I can say something else is written before something else, but it has no meaning unless you have an evidence for that. That's what I'm saying. Go study your scholars. They will all agree Sahih Bukhari was the first hadith kutab, one of the first hadith kutab which were written down. That's a reality. Now,
No, what the
Quran
heck? Can you bring
came.
any evidence
Did
for that? I've
did
just given you one. Listen, I've just given you one.
you have?
You can go, you can search
Okay,
it
I
up, you can
I
go on
cannot
any
I
website,
cannot
you
I
can go
cannot
on
talk
any
with
history
somebody who
tariq
doesn't even
probably.
know the
You choose.
basics. So first of all,
You
does
choose.
does it says
If you're
that
gonna be
Quran came in
condescending, I
7
will leave.
ahruf? You are
If you're
overlapping
being
me. Please don't
you're just
overlap
speaking
me.
over me.
Please don't
Okay.
overlap me.
Okay,
Please
you're
don't
just
overlap
speaking
me.
over me.
Does
We're
it
clearly not
says
getting
does it
anywhere.
says it
I
came
think
down
I
in
might
Sabah
leave it here
ahruf?
because I've
Please
been here
don't
for two
overlap me.
hours and
Okay,
haven't
brother.
had any
Please don't
fruitful
overlap me,
dialogue.
brother. Just
Wassalam.
listen. Does it say 7 ahruf, Sabah ahruf? And he ran away. That's what happens. All right.
Wow. Yeah.
So
So
now,
there we go.
when you show them the reality that they are lying, they will run away very fast. And as we all know, and all the scholars know, and everybody knows that Bukhari was the first ahadith kutab that were collected by Imam Bukhari.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens when they get confronted. They have to go pray.
Well, he's been cutting on and off, and he said something to do with his phone. So, and then he said
Okay.
it's too early for him. It's the pleasure. So,
Yeah, you had to pray. So good to see you, Adam.
Oh, thank you. Same
I
here.
can't believe this thing's been going on for 3 hours. I'm usually in bed by 9 o'clock. Hey, but he agreed that there's versions of the Quran, and then he changed it and said, no, no, no. I'm like, which one is it? Is there a different version, or there isn't a different version? I mean, when they get caught, they run. And
Yeah.
a Muslim will,
Exactly.
a Muslim will tell you, well, such and such book and such book. Okay, well, give me a source. You know, I
Exactly.
mean,
So
Jai put up his source, right? And you're right. I don't see anywhere where there was any written down or collected hadiths before Bukhari. Now, he was talking about Malik. Okay, well, he may have been 60 or 90 years after the Hijra. I'm not going to question that. But where's his books? Where's his collection of hadiths? I don't see it.
Watch this. I want to share something with you guys. My battery is dying on my laptop.
Now, look, we got Sam. Do I have room for Sam? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I may have to kick one of the Jais out.
you can remove the
let's
screen
bring,
and then Sam can come in. Remove
Yeah.
my screen.
he can hear me. If you can bring Sam,
Yes.
I'll be out.
You can bring Sam up.
Guys.
Oh, let me see if let me get the
Yes, you can bring Sam up. That's not a problem.
let me get this the code so brother Sam can come in here and educate us. Okay, now we're down to 3. Oh, what do Muslims left?
I have
Hey,
no idea.
JC, good to see you. I do recall you doing a couple shows with What Do.
Yes, yes. I did actually more than one show. I believe it's all about. I believe the first one we had is all about Zionism. The second one is all about Christian Zionism. The third one is all about how Islam copied from Jewish sources. But of course there was another live stream version with me and Adam Seeker. We expanded the further about how Islam and Muhammad copied from the Jewish sources. We had that video. I had that on my own channel.
Okay.
But
Hey,
I'm
Eric is back. He's not in a car anymore.
See you again. Can you hear me? No,
Yeah.
you cannot.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good.
Hey, Eric Smith, brother, how are you?
I'm great, Mr. Muta. What? How do you say that? Muta.
Hey, not Muta.
Muta.
Come on, man. No, not Muta. Muta is temporary marriage, man.
Okay. Well, my
Murted.
Murte. Okay.
Murtad.
Exactly. Come on, man. You just
I
changed
can't. You guys
you
pick on
changed
me.
everything.
I can't hear how words are pronounced. This is why when I tried to learn Spanish after I'd retired from the Army, I'd spoken it when I was in Panama, but then I come back and I'm trying to actually learn how to speak it correctly because there's a difference between speaking it and then speaking it correctly. Well, anyway, I couldn't learn because I couldn't hear the finer endings on words or the I just can't hear. But it's all good. I'm going to learn sign language in the near future, and then you won't be able to get anything over on me.
All right. So what do you have to share over here, brother?
I was just I was down with batting practice with my granddaughter, and we just walked in, and we were talking to a gentleman who was talking about the collection of the hadith, how they were prepared, and he was trying to provide some type of, and I know this is water under the bridge, you guys probably already talked about this, but he was trying to demonstrate the veracity of the hadith, the truthfulness or the trustworthiness, let's put it that way, of the hadith. And he was in the process of telling us that there's a science. Of course, there's always a science to this. And I had asked him for a rubric of how Bukhari and Muslim had all essentially decided which hadith were authentic and which ones were not. And then I had to, my granddaughter was done with batting practice, and I had to go. So I didn't. Did he provide a coherent answer?
I mean, what do you think?
Well, I'm sure he probably went through the same mantra that they always go to, but I'm thinking no. I mean, and even the traditions. I mean, even the how they evaluated what Bukhari did and what Muslim did is also rooted in the traditions. So you really cannot get it's circular reasoning is what it ends up being, is though the tradition said that they developed the traditions through this traditional method. Well, how do you know this? Well, the traditions tell us.
Well, I mean, to me, traditions are like hearsay, because when Bukhari supposedly compiled the 600,000, and he was trying to say, well, he didn't do it by himself. Well, I mean, I don't know. How many people did he have? I did the math. It's impossible to be able to collect 600,000 hadiths, verify them. What do? You spend like 2 minutes? Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to pass it. And to bring it down to, I think it was like 2% or 7,300 and something. But even the 7,200 or 300, half of those are repeating itself.
Right.
And then how do you trust the hadith? Because while you were gone and the other guy was gone, I showed from Sahih Muslim where there's 3 hadiths right next to each other, 1654 A, B, and I think D and E, where they're all from the same guy. They're all from Abu Huraira, where in the first hadith, Solomon slept with 60 wives. The next hadith, Solomon slept with 70 wives. The next hadith, he slept with 70. And then the fourth one, he slept with 90. The same guy is saying that Muhammad said that's, he's repeating the story of Solomon. But this is in the same book, and it's one after the other. Okay, if this is the science of hadith, which one is correct?
Right.
Is it the 60, the 70, the 90? And I think there's one that says 100 wives. This is what I'm supposed to trust. And then I showed even from the Quran, I think it's verse 865 and 866, where in 65, Allah tells Muhammad that, hey, one Muslim can defeat 10 unbelievers. And then in the very next verse, Allah says, well, you guys are weak, so it's one Muslim can defeat 2 Muslims. What kind of God is that? Isn't he supposed to be the all-knowing, all-seeing, and the all-farting?
Well, I don't trust the hadith any further than you can throw them. I mean, if you consider, so and so said that, so and so said that, so and so said that, so and so said, to be reliable testimony, then okay, then you're gonna have nothing but kangaroo courts, because that's hearsay, and you just don't get that. They don't allow that in the American court system because it's been clearly demonstrated that it's unreliable. So why would you believe that? Why would you believe that if it's not even allowed in the American court system, the jurisprudence system? Well, you have to believe it because it is part of your tradition to believe your traditions.
Yeah, but with Islam, when it comes to hadith with Islam, if you take one hadith, 2 Sunnis will disagree on it. Take the Sunnis and the Shia, they will disagree on it. So even among them, they don't know which one is correct, which one is not. So I'm agreeing with you. It's like, there's no use of even talking about them. Where did Eric go?
What happened?
So
Looked like Adam left.
Oh,
I just
okay.
got let me see here. I just got a Skype message from
I don't know what time it is.
Chris. It's 8:47 where I am. I'm
yeah, it's 9:47 here. You're in Central.
You're an hour behind.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I'm in Tennessee, so I'm still.
Yeah, I tried to get a guy to come to the show on Sunday. He was from Egypt, but evidently, we start at 2 Central, so that would be 9 o'clock his time. And he said, well, that's too late for him because that's what time he goes to bed. And I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm down with that struggle because that's about what time I go to bed. I
actually go to bed at 9 because I wake up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I get up early.
What was I going to say? It's just we talked about a couple different things like. Oh, now I remember. And like, for instance, the whole Jibreel in Muhammad. How do you trust that? Because I found 2 conflicting hadiths. In one hadith, Muhammad is squeezed 3 times. That's in Sahih Bukhari. And he runs home to his wife, scared. Now, nowhere does it say it was Jibreel in the hadith. He didn't come home and say, hey, honey, Jibreel, I met Jibreel. It was through his wife's cousin, Waraka, right? But then I found a hadith, by chance, I was typing in some words. I found a hadith that's in Sahih Muslim where instead of Muhammad meeting Jibreel in the cave, he's walking through the valley after coming out of the cave, and he hears somebody calling him Muhammad. And he looks up and he looks around and he doesn't see anybody. And he keeps walking, and again, he hears a voice, Muhammad, and he looks around, he doesn't see anybody. And then he hears his voice 3 times, and he looks up, and Jibreel, I don't even think Jibreel is in the Arabic because it's in quotes. Sorry, not quotes, parentheses. But supposedly Muhammad looks up and sees Jibreel sitting on the throne. Now, I didn't know angels got to sit on the throne of Allah. Or does Jibreel have his own special throne? And then, again, he runs home scared. Why would you run scared?
Well, forget Jibreel. Let's take the concept of an angel spoke to him. If you look in the Quran, Anytime an angel came to a prophet, he identified himself and he told him he was an angel. Okay. How come the minute he told Muhammad read, he did not identify himself prior to that? Why the identification of this angel came 2-3 years afterwards?
Say that one more time.
In the Quran, every time an angel spoke to a prophet, he identified himself that he's an angel,
Right.
even to Maryam. Okay. How come this identification did not apply to Muhammad when he told him to read? I mean, I can understand if there is the chapter, which is 96, came down as, I am an angel sent from Allah. I have a message to you. Please read it. Read in the name of Allah. Then we can understand that there was an angel. You want to call him Jibreel later on, you want to call him Monarchia, you want to call him Monkey, it's irrelevant. But we understand that there was an angel who actually spoke to Muhammad. But there is none. And the identification of this angel by the name of Jibreel came down a few years later on. So where did they get the concept of Jibreel, unless if they read the Hebrew books, the Christian books, and they realized that there's an angel who used to speak to them by the name of Jibreel or Gabriel. So why not add it to him?
Why wouldn't Jabril know that he didn't know how to read?
That was my next question.
That's, I mean,
it's not
the
read.
whole.
It's not read. It's recite.
And
now
also,
it's recite?
Okay, that's fair. I mean,
Even
recite.
recite. Even if I tell you recite, recite means like say things in a human manner, which means repeat after me. Okay. So one of two things: either Allah was idiot, he did not know that Muhammad could not read or not understand what words mean, or Muhammad, there was nothing for Muhammad to recite from.
True.
And also, let me add to what Kufarphobia said earlier about conflicting hadiths. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I remember si Sahih al-Bukhari, the supposed knight's journey. All right, just to give you a short summary. According to Sahih al-Bukhari, Muhammad bargained with Allah about 5 daily prayers, right? And then Sahih Muslim, on the other hand, says Muhammad bargained with Allah doing 4 prayers a day. This is Sahih Muslim, right? So there's a little bit of contradiction, even though most consensus of the scholars mention that Sahih Muslim is the second most authentic hadith. But I saw these two hadiths side by side. Yeah. Sahih al-Bukhari says 5 prayers a day. Sahih Muslim says 4 prayers a day. So which one is which? Although they're both authentic. So what? So they cannot say, oh, both of them are correct. So that means they have to do 9 prayers a day. But of course, they have to choose which one is correct.
Well, that's the same point with the Qurans, with the different Qurans, where in chapter 2, verse 185, the Huff says you have to feed a poor person. I guess if you're having issues with doing the fast, but then if you read the Warsh, Allah says you have to feed 4 people. Okay, so you got feed a poor person, which is one individual, versus feeding poor people, which I am told in Arabic it's at least 3 people or more. So which one do you do? Do I feed one person or do I feed 3 or more people? I mean, That's a problem. You know?
Yeah, actually, not just that problem, but also there's Quran is also internally conflicting itself. Like there is a verse in the Quran that says the heavens and the earth are created in 6 days. But if you read Surah chapter 49 verses 9 to 12, it said if you count all the number of days, it adds up to 8 days. So which one is which?
Oh, and if you read Al Tabri, it gets even worse. There's a really good book. It's 900. It's almost 1,000 pages. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called The Prophet of Doom. It's a free book. You can find it and download it. Everything is sourced. Oh, okay. He has it. Look at that.
You know why I have it? Because I have no life. That's why. I have it.
Hey, I have 550 books. Mine are just all PDF. You know, I had a shelf like yours, and I put the books in storage, and the rats got in there and ate it up. There goes my thousands of dollars of books. So I said, from now on, I'm getting PDFs.
Well,
But
actually, my book collection, most of it, I was either I had to move out with the books, or the books had to move out. So, or either it was me or the books. So the books had to move out. So, I'm out of control.
Guys, I need to fix one of my statement, which I said to on that guy. Matwata Malik is proclaimed to be before Bukhari. He is right on that point. I was wrong. So FYI, I do not want to live with a lie. I said it in my ignorance. Just wanted to make sure that I put it out there for that guy. He on that point, he was absolutely right, and I apologize for my misinformation. I verified and validated, and it is correct. At the same time, a lot of people do not recognize it as the book of Hadith. They call it neither a book of fiqh or nor a Hadith because he was in Medina. Malik himself. Let me share you a link so that everyone can see what I'm saying, and it shouldn't be. Please open up this link, guys. Somebody put
what
it up.
link?
I
Okay,
am
hold on.
sharing. Yeah.
Okay, there you
So
go.
Matwatta is a title given by Malik himself, is one of the earliest formulation of Islamic law as well as being one of the earliest collection of hadith. Even though Matwatta contains both legal judgment and hadith, it is neither a book of fiqh nor a book of hadith. Muhammad Zubair Siddiqui said, the Matwatta was not intended to serve as a collection of hadith, but it may be said with equal justice that it is not a book of fiqh in the same sense in which later books on fiqh are said to be worked on subject. Similarly, Mustafa Azim said that it is not popularly a hadith book, it is not purely a hadith book. It contains the hadiths from the Prophet legal opinions of the companion and the successors and some later authorities. So because this book is not giving the hadiths directly from the Prophet, but it is giving the hadiths from legal opinion of the companions, tabi'eens, taba tabi'eens, and etc. So that is why this book is not considered to be the book of hadith. But once again, that is not the point. That is why Matwatta Malik was not in my memory. I haven't researched on that so much, and that is why I would say that I apologize with that from that guy. So if he ever comes back, please give him my apologies that I was unaware of that fact, and I apologize and I correct myself. Yes, Matwatta Malik is proclaimed to be written. They don't have the evidence, but because this Malik, who claimed it to be this book to be called Matwatta, it is there. He lived before Bukhari, hence by that reference it should be written before it. So I agree with this guy and I apologize for my misinformation.
Yeah, but see, I have a problem with that. You know, that word proclaimed. I can proclaim anything. Now, I will agree that he came before Bukhari.
My friend, that's not the point. Seriously, you are right, but that's not the point. I need to fix my error, so that's what I'm fixing. Now you can say whatever you want to.
Now, let me ask you: is there something written by him before Bukhari?
So no? I need to research on that as well.
Okay.
But because it is said to be by him, so if it is by him, there might be some parachments or something like that. But once again, I cannot deny him right now. I need to agree to the fact that what his statement was absolutely right. At the same time, I said that you will not find anything written at that time period. Yes, according to my current research, that is true as well. But I will search deeper into this Mutawatta Malik because I personally had not done research on Mutawatta Malik. So unless I go and do the research, I will not comment any further. But I will do the research and I will come back to you, because here as well, it also says that it should be pointed out that Muslim authorities such as Ibn al-Athar, Abdul Bar, and etc. and etc. and etc. included Mutawatta in the sixth canonical collection, which is called the Kitab al-Sitta, one of the Kitab al-Sitta, in the place of Sunan Ibn Majah. So some people, some madhabs of Islam, some madhabs of Sunni sect actually includes Mutawatta Malik in Kitab al-Sitta versus Ibn Majah. So because I did not belong to those madhahibs, and I used to work on Ibn Majah, so I did not knew Mutawatta Malik that much. So anyhow, the majority, however, do not include Mutawatta among the six canonical collection. Majority. So he's writing that this is Islamic awareness. They are saying that the majority, however, do not include Mutawatta among the six canonical collections, because almost all the important tradition contained in are included in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih al-Muslim. So once again, if we look at what he said from his madhab's point of view, I will have to agree to his statement. I do not want to be a person who stated something ignorantly and once found out did not fix himself. So that's what I want to put out there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree.
Man,
I have read.
sounds choppy, yeah?
Oh, go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just walking, burning some calories so I don't look like Jai. But your mic.
Sam is there.
Oh, now you're good. Okay, now I can hear you. I can hear you guys pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna. Hopefully, by the grace of God, I'm gonna go live today with that guy Jihad Yusuf. Already set it up. So
Oh, cool.
let you know. Yeah. So what? Yeah, you asked me to come on. What's going on? What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, we were talking about everything. Hey, do you ever sleep? I mean,
I
you
don't
do
know, man.
shows like left and right.
Well, I'm sleeping right now. I'm sleepwalking. This is me in my sleep. I'm
It's like I keep getting messages. Sam's going on, and I'm like, man, does this guy sleep?
Yeah. Just curiously, you guys know that who's that punk? Huck, that little punk. Is he somebody who was trolling your comment section? And I guess he's on Discord. He's a little punk. I just cussed him out on Skype because he's not serious. He's a joke. You guys know him or no?
No, I don't know him.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So what are you guys wrapping it up, or are you guys talking about something?
Yeah, I think we're wrapping it up. It's been 3 hours and 33 minutes.
Only?
Yeah, only, man. I'm not
Come
like
on,
you.
man. You got to make it 6 hours, dude.
I don't have your energy, man. I got to work.
Yeah, see, that's no. It's you do have energy, but you also got a job, so you got to work. So
Yeah, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow, God bless you and strengthen you, man.
So
That's really
I'm usually in bed by 9 o'clock, but I figured people were coming in. I said, I'll make an exception. I try to go on Saturdays and Sundays.
Well, hey, speaking of which, don't forget Saturday, Anthony Rogers and Shibir Ali are debating online.
Oh, Shabir still debates?
Yeah, I don't know what gave him the courage to face Anthony again, but they're going to be debating, Lord willing, Saturday. There are 2 debates, and it's going to be on ministrytomuslims.com. It's online.
Oh, okay.
So if you have access to Anthony Rogers' Facebook, he's already posted the linked information. So they're debating, can the New Testament portrayal of Jesus be trusted? Can the Quranic portrayal of Jesus be trusted? So he's very smart.
Given the fact that there's not much information about Jesus in the Quran, I don't know.
Yeah, but I know what Shabir is going to do. I know his tactic. He's going to say that the Quran presents a general picture that Jesus is a prophet of God, who claimed to be a prophet of God, who did miracles no more, no less. Then he's going to spend most of his time saying how biblical critical scholarship shows when you go to the earliest gospel, namely Mark, and go behind Mark's source, you find that the initial picture of Jesus was he was a supernaturally empowered, spirit-filled prophet and messenger, an apocalyptic preacher, and that in time, the depiction of Jesus became evolved so that scholarship is showing that when you peel back the layers and go back to the earliest core, you get a human Jesus who is a messenger of God empowered by the Spirit in agreement with the Quran. That's what he's going to do.
You are a prophet, brother.
Yeah, he won't focus on the Quran itself, but mostly on liberal scholarship, where they dissect the Gospels and show that behind Mark, there's an earlier source. And that source was less embellished than Mark. And then Mark takes that source and embellishes it a little bit. Then Matthew and Luke embellish it more, and John embellishes it way more. That's what he's going to argue. He's going to turn the debate more on the historicity of the Gospels and the oral tradition that underlies the Gospels. You know, that's what he's going to do. You watch. Because, you know, for him to accept the debate on the Quranic view of Jesus, when he knows that the Quran, according to this tradition, is a 7th century book, which means not based on eyewitnesses, and no one's going to fall for it. It's divinely revealed, unless Muslims. So it's Muslims. So he's going to simply say, well, biblical critical research. Jesus historians have shown the historical Jesus was a man who claimed to be a prophet of God and God's son in a metaphorical sense, and therefore the Quran was right, because modern scholarship confirms what the Quran has always said about Jesus.
It sounds like Shabir is doing what Eric probably would agree with me, because you did a video on that. It sounds like what Paul William does. He brings on these liberal, supposedly Christians.
Of course.
I mean, he had on a guy that was a reverend, and the guy was like, "Oh, yes,
guy,
Muhammad was a true prophet." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You're a Christian?"
Yes.
Yes, there is this kind of.
Yeah, we did a whole show on that on that joker. I mean, he was a professor at Oxford University, for Pete's sake, and he's saying that that Muhammad was a prophet. Now, this guy, you have to remember where he comes from, or where his traditions are from. He's from the Anglican Church, and the Anglican Church has gotten so far away from the true gospel of Jesus Christ that it can't even see straight. The membership of the church itself is just falling into the gutter, where they're closing church every single day. So that's where that guy's opinion comes from.
But it's just not him.
Exactly. And then he also interviewed James Tabor.
Okay.
Yeah, well, he also interviewed James Tabor, who is he's an ultra liberal, right? Can you guys hear me or no?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me or no?
Yes.
I hear you.
Hello? Okay, sorry, because I thought it was kind of. Yeah, if you notice, if you watch the interviews, pay attention to the people. Not only that reverend, but he brought in another homosexual professor who thinks he's a Christian. He's homosexual. He's an open homosexual. It's Dale, and there's several Dales, so I get their last names confused. You have Dale Tuggy, the Unitarian heretic, Dale Allison, who is considered a leading expert on the historical Jesus, and then this Dale, I forget his last name. He is friends with Bart Ehrman, and he's an open homosexual. He's a professor. I think he teaches at Yale. So these are the people he's interviewing. But go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, you guys familiar with Jay Dyer? I just started watching him.
Yes.
I mean,
he just as you were doing your show, he was doing a debate review right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I watched him debate what was it, Trinity and Tawhid, and he decimated that guy.
Precisely. He is.
What